Chapter 720. Scram. Ling Xiao nodded and said calmly. Gu Ao immediately felt as if he had been pardoned. He turned around and rushed towards the distance. However, at this moment, although there was fear in his eyes, it could not hide the extreme resentment in them. But just as he fled 100 miles away, the sky above his head suddenly darkened. Gu Ao looked up blankly, only to see a demonic figure several feet tall descending from the sky and stepping on his body. Where did this great demon come from? What a joke. How could Ling Xiao be kind when he did things? Although this Sea region royal family was no longer a threat to him. However, once Gu Ao fled back to the clan, it would be difficult to avoid more trouble. Moreover, Ling Xiao's chess game still lacks some actors. I think this Gu Ao has a big head and looks very smart. With him leading the Bone Clam clan into the chess game, it will be even more realistic. Don't kill me. Don't. Gu Ao's figure fell from the sky and landed in the sea region. Just as he was about to use his true body to escape, he saw a large hand descending from the sky and grabbing his head. Young master, she owes you my life again. I don't know how to repay you. Shier's face was shy as she bowed towards Ling Xiao. It's fine. The Black Heaven Waterflower is indeed rare. When I came out of the Forgotten Isle, I heard that someone couldn't forget it. I think you should fuse with it first. Ling Xiao's expression was indifferent, but it was no longer as indifferent as before. Hearing this, Shier's face flashed with a blush. Is young master planning to protect me? That's right. She had traveled all the way south. If she wanted to return to the clan, there would be many dangers along the way. As long as she fused with the Black Heaven Waterflower, her cultivation would definitely improve. This way, she would have more protection. Young master, Qingyu. In the end, she still asked this name. Although now, she felt disgusted when she thought of what Qingyu had done. However, the desolate Heaven Ancient Tablet was still in his hands. If he really died in the hands of Lord Ling Xiao, I don't want to take back the Ancient Tablet. I just want to remind him that this item is an important treasure of the Sea Clan. If Master finds out that it has fallen into the hands of a human youth, it will definitely bring a lot of trouble to young Master. Oh, Qingyu seems to have a supreme treasure that can shift space. At the last moment, he managed to escape. However, he suffered a palm strike from my servant. I don't think he will survive. Ling Xiao said indifferently, and the worry in Shier's eyes dissipated a lot. Thank you, young master, for avenging me. In that case, I'll find a place to fuse with the water essence first. All right, I'll protect you. Ling Xiao nodded. He took a step forward and flew away. Behind Ling Xiao, Xier hesitated for a moment before a brilliant light flashed on her face, and she followed Ling Xiao. At night, the moonlight shone down, illuminating the entire sea as if the Milky Way had descended. At this moment, Ling Xiao stood with his hands behind his back on an uninhabited island in the ocean, and he gazed into the distance. In a cave on a lonely mountain behind him, there was a faint flow of the power of a formation. Clearly, Xier was fusing with the water essence there. With Ling Xiao's personal arrangement, the girl had already closed her mind and no longer had any distractions. However, she probably never dreamed that Ling Xiao's action was not to protect her, but to stop her from spying and delay her return to her clan. If he wanted Xier to submit completely, a simple hero saving a beauty was obviously not enough. Especially now, she was already disappointed in love. It would be difficult for her to truly trust someone in a short period of time. This was a psychological problem, and it had to be cured with strong medicine. Ling Xiao still hoped that Xier would bring him to meet the Sea Emperor, so that he could conquer this overlord of the sea. If he could not get the system's approval, he did not dare to take this risk. Xier, your master wants to kill me. Master, if you want to kill me first. In Ling Xiao's opinion, the Sea Emperor might not be a sentimental person. However, as long as he was given a chance, he was confident that he could persuade this greedy empress to become a pawn in his hands. Because today, the overlapping images sent a message that Yi Zhan was found. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. This was especially true for a cruel and ambitious tyrant. The rules and order were like child's play to him. Only benefits were the criteria for power and authority. Lord Xiong Huan's figure fell from the sky and stood in front of Ling Xiao. In his hand, Gu Ao looked frightened, and there was unwillingness in his eyes. Liar! You said you would let me live. At this time, he felt that his life was coming to an end, so he didn't have too many concerns. Why don't you let me go crazy before I die? Besides, this young man in front of him was vicious and merciless. If he fell into his hands, how could he survive? Young Master Gu, I can let you live, but the premise is that you have to be used by me. Ling Xiao smiled evilly, and there seemed to be a soul light flickering in his eyes. Gu Ao's face turned dull almost instantly, and then he knelt on the ground with a plop. Young Master, as long as you spare my life, I will listen to you. Okay, open your soul sea. Ling Xiao nodded indifferently. His soul consciousness turned into a seal, fell into Gu Ao's soul sea, and dissipated. Go. Quietly exterminate the Golden Scale clan. Remember, deliberately leave a trace, and let people know that this clan was exterminated by you. Ling Xiao's mouth raised a smile, but Gu Ao suddenly tilted his head and looked at Ling Xiao. He put his finger in his mouth and seemed to be lost in thought. What is this young master selling in his gourd? Why did he ask me to quietly exterminate the Golden Scale clan and let people know that I was the one who did it? Now that the Ocean Emperor was in charge of the sea area, all clans were in harmony. Although there were often small disputes, exterminating a clan had been a long time ago. But fortunately, this Golden Scale clan was a small clan, and their strongest was only a fourth-grade emperor god. It was not difficult to exterminate them. Even if the Ocean Emperor blamed me, he would never become enemies with my Bone Clam clan. Yes, in the end, Gu Ao could not figure out the reason, and he turned and disappeared into the darkness. Only when his figure completely disappeared did a smile appear on Ling Xiao's face. Everyone is a chess piece, and I am the chess player. Since the chess piece had been placed, the next step was to wait for the game to unfold. Let me correct one thing. I, Ling Xiao, am not an evil demon who slaughters clans wherever I go. I naturally have my reasons for slaughtering it. According to the information obtained by Folded Shadow, Ling Xiao already knew that the Sea clan that Yizhan was hiding in was the head of the 10 great royal clans, the Flood Dragon clan. Before Zi Yin unified the Sea domain, this clan was worthy of being called the #1 clan in the Endless Sea. There were many experts in the clan, and their vassals were huge. Even now, 3 of the 10 great royal clans were their vassals. However, this Flood Dragon clan was originally a slave clan of the Heavenly Alligator clan. Now that Yizhan had appeared, they were naturally unwilling to submit to Ziyan. Moreover, Ziyan's methods were cruel. She used absolute force to suppress the Sea domain, and this had already caused many Sea clan experts to resent her. In this way, the Flood Dragon clan would definitely wait for Yizhan to grow and use this chance to overthrow Ziyan's tyrannical rule, holding the emperor to order the vassals. This had happened since ancient times. Unfortunately, will I give you the time? It has been 300 years. No matter how serious your injuries are, they should be more or less healed, right? Yizhan, soon, I will help you return to your ancestral land. At that time, the Sea clan will be in chaos, and that will be the time for me to control Ziyan. After all, the Heavenly Alligator was the descendant of the Sea Emperor, the lackey of the Immortal clan. Ziyan snatching Yizhan's Yao Dan, an immortal source, was already a matter that infuriated all the Yao gods. Now, Ling Xiao only needed to reveal Yizhan's identity, and even Ziyan would not dare to kill him openly. Because once she did that, it would definitely cause real turmoil in the Sea clan. It was best not to touch things like faith. There was no emperor who did not care about public opinion. Cruelty was just a method, but if there were no demons in the Sea domain, what was the meaning of the Sea Emperor's position? Therefore, Ziyan, I will help you kill Yizhan and restore your stability. You help me kill the divine envoy and help me flatten the sacred sect. Okay. Chapter 721. The night passed in the blink of an eye. When the sky lit up the next day, a terrifying spiritual wind suddenly blew over the entire island. Dense water vapor spread like mist. Wherever it passed, withered trees would come back to life and old branches would sprout. Ling Xiao opened his eyes, and spiritual power also surged around him. He raised his head and looked at the cave filled with runes. At this moment, he could see a dark light shining in the cave. A faint demon figure stood in the void, revealing a desolate aura. It was obvious that Shi Er's bloodline was not as simple as it seemed on the surface. In fact, although Ling Xiao had never seen Ziyin before, he could feel from Yinyi's words that the Sea Emperor was not a sentimental person. She could trick Yi and his son into falling into the same trap. Ziyin's fickleness could be seen. However, she had accepted a disciple at a time when the sea was in turmoil. If you said that Shi did not have any secrets, no one would believe you. Desolate bloodline? Could it be that Shi was not from the Golden Scale race? Double Shadow, go to the Golden Scale race. When the Bone race makes their move, search the Golden Scale race's leader's soul and investigate Shi Er's origins. Ling Xiao took out a voice transmission talisman and said softly, "Yes, Master." It wasn't until the spiritual radiance and spiritual mist disappeared that tribulation clouds began to gather above the deserted island and dazzling lightning flashed. Has the Tao Law broken through? Ling Xiao's eyes narrowed. He suddenly stretched out his hand and directly turned it into a lightning sun that pierced through the sky and dispersed the tribulation clouds. Since the chess piece had been placed, he should also move and head to the Golden Scale race. Actors, please take your positions. Your great director and producer is already on the way. Let us paddle and make waves in the sea to our heart's content. The surface of the sea reflects your corpses, and my demonic soldiers surround you. As Ling Xiao waved his hand and removed the spiritual array at the entrance of the cave, Shi Er's figure slowly walked out. At this moment, there was a bright smile on her face. Even the blue rune between her eyebrows seemed to emit a different glow. Great success in the Tao Law for 1,000 Providence. The 1,000 fate points that Ling Xiao had just plundered were returned with a bang. Young Master, looks like it went very smoothly. Since that's the case, let's part ways here. Ling Xiao nodded indifferently and turned to leave. Young Master, Shi exclaimed, but she didn't know what to say. Although Ling Xiao had saved her life twice, in the end, she had only seen him 3 times. Miss Shi, is there anything else? Ling Xiao stopped and turned back to look at Shi. There was some doubt between his brows. Oh, it's nothing. I just wanted to ask where young Master is going. Shi lowered her head and rubbed the corners of her clothes, but Ling Xiao smiled and shook his head. I heard that in the depths of the sea, there's a majestic city called the Ancient City of Heaven's Edge. There are many evil spirits gathered in the city, so I want to go and take a look. Sky Edge Ancient City? Shi Er's pretty face froze for a moment before it flashed with excitement. Young Master, the Ancient City of Heaven's Edge is less than 100 miles away from my Golden Scale tribe. I can bring young Master there. Oh, that's great. I was worried that I would get lost in this vast sea. Ling Xiao was also a little surprised, but he sneered in his heart. This whole show was arranged by me. How could I not know that the Golden Scale tribe is just beside the Ancient City of Heaven's Edge? Young Master, then let's go. The gloominess on Shi Er's pretty face was swept away and turned into a bright smile. Then, she took the initiative to walk to Ling Xiao's side and smiled mischievously. Young Master, do you want to go on the sea or under the sea? Oh, which is faster? It's about the same, but it's more ostentatious on the sea. It's easier to enter the territory of other tribes under the sea. Then let's go on the sea. Ostentatious? What I want now is to be ostentatious. Otherwise, how could I attract the attention of the Ocean Emperor? Ling Xiao could exterminate the Bone Pride tribe. But this tribe wasn't where Ling Xiao's target was. His real target was the Flood Dragon tribe. If the Ocean Emperor could descend, it would be even more interesting. Okay, then, young Master, follow me closely. Shi Er's face turned red. She took a step forward and turned into a ray of light. Ling Xiao put his hands behind his back and followed closely, striding towards the depths of the sea. To be honest, the entire sea was like Dio. Other than the water, there was only the island left. Occasionally, a few fish jumped out of the sea, but they were caught by Ling Xiao and thrown into the territory. 3 days later, the silhouette of a majestic city appeared at the end of their line of sight. Shi Er's figure stopped in midair. Young master, that city is the ancient city of Heaven's Edge. However, there are many fugitives there. If young master wants to go to the island, you'd better be careful. Okay, then let's part ways here. Ling Xiao nodded. Just as he was about to take a step, he saw Shi Er's face turn red. She said shyly, "Young master, the Golden Scale tribe is just below this sea. If young master isn't in a hurry to go to the island, why don't you come to my tribe and sit?" Huh? Ling Xiao raised his eyebrows slightly. However, he saw that Shi Er's eyes were flustered. She was obviously a little shy. "Young master, it just so happens that I can return the 2 Dao artifacts to you." "Okay, then go and do it." Ling Xiao did not refuse. Instantly, a bright smile bloomed on Shi Er's face. "Young master, follow me." Shi Er grabbed Ling Xiao's hand and dragged him into the sea. Spiritual light scattered around her, separating her from the sea. It was as dazzling as the stars. When the two of them landed at the bottom of the sea, Ling Xiao realized that the world of the sea was actually not much different from the human territory. There were also ups and downs, seaweed, mountains, and barren land. However, there was no sun or moon at the bottom of the sea. Only the place where the sea tribe gathered would have ancient temples, watchtowers, and spiritual pearls. However, just as Shi was leading Ling Xiao through the sea with joy in her eyes, a solemn expression gradually appeared on her face. At this moment, the two of them could feel the faint scent of blood floating in the sea. "Young master, we're here." Shi Er's figure landed in front of an ancient stone temple. Her eyes were nervous and even a little flustered. It was too quiet. It was currently daytime, but there was no sound from the entire Golden Scale tribe. The stone door of the ancient temple was tightly shut. However, it was still difficult to conceal the scent of blood inside. Just as she lifted her foot and was about to walk toward the ancient temple, Ling Xiao grabbed her hand and shook his head slightly. "Let me." As soon as he finished speaking, lightning suddenly bloomed outside Ling Xiao's body. All the living beings in the sea within thousands of miles felt a sense of numbness circulating. He took a step forward and stood in front of the ancient temple. Then he stretched out his hand and gently pushed it aside. Whoosh! The dense scent of blood rushed toward them along with the waves. Immediately afterward, golden-scaled corpses rushed out of the temple. They covered the sky and the earth. It was a shocking scene. "No, no." She covered her red lips with her hand. Her eyes were already filled with tears. "How can this be? How can this be? Mother, father." Ling Xiao frowned slightly and slowly walked into the temple. He saw that in the middle of the temple, a middle-aged man's limbs, heart, and monster core were pierced by 9 bone spears. He was nailed to a pillar. At this moment, there was still a trace of life in his body. However, his heart meridians were broken and his monster core was shattered. It seemed that he would not survive. "No, father, how can this be? Who is it? Who is it?" Chapter 722. Bone Spear. Is it from the Bone Clan? Ling Xiao's eyes narrowed as he reached out to stop Shi, who was running towards the middle-aged man. "It's useless. Instead, it will make him suffer even more." "Father, who is it? Who is it?" Shi Er's beautiful eyes were blood red, and her expression was incomparably miserable. At this moment, how could she not see the origin of the bone spear? She just didn't expect that Gu Ao would be so crazy as to slaughter hundreds of her Golden Scale clan. "Shia, you're back." The middle-aged man tried his best to open his eyes, and a sincere smile bloomed on his face. "Don't take revenge for us. Quickly leave. Go find your master and never come back." "No, father, no. It's Gu Ao. It's Gu Ao, right?" Shi Er's heart was filled with regret. Ling Xiao had already warned her that if she didn't remove the roots, there would be endless trouble in the future. But at that time, she didn't expect that Gu Ao would know her identity and vent his anger on the Golden Scale clan. Qin Yu. It must be that bastard Qin Yu who told him. At this moment, Shi'er wished that she could cut the two of them into 1,000 pieces and swallow them alive. Cough, cough, she. It's good that you're safe and sound. Don't think about taking revenge for us. Bone Clan, we can't afford to provoke them. Moreover, behind Guao, there are others who you can provoke. Be obedient. Quickly leave. Blood kept dripping from the corner of the Golden Scale Clan's clan master's mouth, but the anticipation in his eyes was soul-stirring. Father, no matter who it is, I will make them pay the price. Shi'er roared in despair, her tears falling down and turning into jade beads on the ground. Seeing this scene, Ling Xiao's eyes narrowed. Especially at this moment, the demonic aura that suddenly gathered behind Shi'er, faintly turning into a silver-white dragon shadow, standing tall in the sky. However, this dragon shadow was not a true dragon in the traditional sense. Instead, it was a strange demonic shadow with a female head, a human body, and a dragon tail. Dragon Lady? Ling Xiao's eyes were clear as if he suddenly thought of something. No wonder this small Golden Scale clan had such a destiny that the Sea Emperor Yin would accept her as a disciple. It turned out that this year actually had a trace of true dragon's bloodline flowing in her body. It was rumored that when a true dragon mated with a human, they would give birth to offspring. The male would be a dragon's son, and the female would be a dragon's daughter. They would have the head of a human and the body of a dragon. Their hearts were exquisite, and their tears were like pearls. They could condense a monster core, and they could also practice human cultivation methods. They were blessed by heaven. However, regardless of whether it was the dragon son or the dragon daughter, they were all pets of creation. They were truly monsters and were restricted by the heavenly Tao. Most of them died in the womb. Although there were legends in the world, no one had ever seen the true face of the Dragon Lady. Ling Xiao didn't expect to see this legendary creature as soon as he entered the sea. However, if that was the case, Shi'er's origin was probably not something that the Golden Scale clan could give birth to. However, in the entire Shengzhou, there was no such thing as a true dragon. Could it be that she also came from the upper realm? Cough, cough. Shi'er, actually, your mother and I have been hiding something from you. The master of the Golden Scale tribe sighed softly. His eyes became gentler and kinder. He's here. Hearing this, the corners of Ling Xiao's mouth curled up into a smile. Previously, he had received a message from the overlapping images saying that Shi'er's origin was quite mysterious and was a top secret of the Golden Scale tribe. Even the elder of the Golden Scale tribe who used the overlapping images soul search did not know where she was born. Originally, Ling Xiao was still thinking about how to quietly search the master of the Golden Scale tribe. He didn't expect this old thing to take the initiative to reveal this secret. This 5th grade spirit recovery pill can help you hold on for a while. If you have anything to say it quickly. Ling Xiao took out a white jade pill and stuffed it into the master of the Golden Scale tribe's mouth. His tone was rather helpless. Thank you, young master. The master of the Golden Scale tribe's eyes flashed with gratitude. What a good person. He was already a dying man, but this young master was still willing to waste a 5th grade pill. This kind of righteous act was worth entrusting Shi'er. Father, don't speak. I beg you, don't speak. Shi'er stretched out her hand, wanting to cover the bloody hole in the master of the Golden Scale tribe's body. However, the latter shook his head, and his eyes revealed a hint of vicissitudes of life. Sure? Actually, you're not my child. What? Shi'er's beautiful face turned pale, and her delicate body trembled slightly. She was pulled into Ling Xiao's embrace. Could it be? I am mother and someone else. In fact, even I don't know where you came from. The master of the Golden Scale tribe sighed softly. You were originally a piece of golden jade that had been passed down for thousands of years in my Golden Scale tribe. You were born with a natural Tao rhythm and were the foundation of my tribe. However, 100 years ago, this golden jade suddenly gave birth to life. Your mother and I carefully took care of it, and only then did we wait for you to break out of the jade and grow up." Golden jade? Shi-Er's beautiful face was stunned. Obviously, she did not expect her origin to be so complicated. However, at this moment, Ling Xiao had a guess in his heart. Bullshit, golden jade. This golden scale tribe had most likely guarded an egg for thousands of years. However, it seemed that Shi-Er's true dragon bloodline might not have been inherited from her father, but from her mother. After all, he had never heard of anyone laying eggs. However, now Ling Xiao had also guessed why Ziyin had taken Shi-Er as a disciple. Perhaps she knew Shi-Er's origin, or she had seen through her bloodline. Whether in the primitive era or the immemorial era, the true dragon bloodline was the orthodox bloodline of the demon clan. Although the heavenly alligator tribe was the overlord of the endless sea, it was only because the ancestor of the heavenly alligator tribe was the mount of an ancient god. However, the true dragon bloodline was on the same level as the ancient gods. It was said that at the beginning of the immemorial era, the first great demon that was born was the ancestor dragon of the primordial era. It had the power to control heaven and earth, and was the god of all demons. In other words, it was true that the heavenly alligator tribe was the overlord of the sea, but the true dragon was the demon god in the hearts of all the demon clans in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Therefore, after Ziyin had failed and let Yizhan escape, this woman had prepared a backup plan for herself. In the future, if the heavenly alligator tribe really caused trouble, she could use the true dragon bloodline as an excuse to suppress them. No wonder this woman had never announced the existence of Shi-Er of the Sea Tribe. She was planning to keep Shi-Er as a backup plan, a trump card. Suddenly, Ling Xiao became more and more interested in this new Sea Tribe emperor. This was a villain who also put benefits above all. However, he did not know what the Sea Emperor was scheming to unify the Sea Tribe. Cough, cough. This young master. In the end, the Golden Scale Clan Master's gaze landed on Ling Xiao. From the very beginning, he had noticed this young man with immortal Taoist rhymes and clear and deep eyes. From him, the Golden Scale Clan Master could feel a strong sense of righteousness. Although humans and demons had different paths, the Sea Tribe was in turmoil now. Shi-Er was still young, so he felt at ease to entrust her to this human young master. More importantly, with his cultivation level as a 4th-stage divine emperor, he could not see through this young man's strength at all. Actually, it was not necessary to entrust her to him. The main thing was that there was no one else here. Clan Master. Ling Xiao nodded calmly, a hint of bitterness flashing in his eyes. "I see that you are full of righteousness. You must be a talent of the human race. Shi-Er is still young, and she has offended a powerful tribe. I hope that you can take care of her." Cough, cough. This Ling Xiao looked troubled. He turned to look at Shi-Er, sighed softly, and nodded slowly. "I promised the clan master that I will treat her like my own sister in the future. Young master, righteousness." Chapter 723. Cough, 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 cough. "Young master, I'm afraid I can't take it anymore." "Sure, I'll leave it to you." The Golden Scale Clan Master coughed out a pool of blood, then took a deep look at Shi-Er and breathed his last. "Father." Shi-Er's face was pale, and her eyes were filled with sorrow. Although, before the Golden Scale Clan's clan leader died, he told her about her origins. The two of them were not related by blood. But after all, Shi-Er had been with them for more than 10 years. Now that the Golden Scale Clan was slaughtered, the hatred in her heart could be imagined. "Let's bury them first." Ling Xiao sighed and gently patted Shi-Er's shoulder. "The dead can't come back to life. Shi-Er, in the future, you'll be by my side." "Woo woo woo woo. Young master, I was wrong. I was really wrong. I should have listened to you and killed Gu Ao. Cut him into pieces." Shi-Er threw herself into Ling Xiao's arms and broke down crying. If you cut the grass without removing the roots, there would be no end of trouble. She didn't want to be involved in too much karma for the Golden Scale Clan and attract too many disasters, but she didn't expect that because of her kindness, the entire clan would be ruined. For an entire day, She alone buried the hundreds of Golden Scale clan members in the ancestral land's tomb. Ling Xiao didn't interfere, but he calmly watched the girl go back and forth. In the sea world, there was no distinction between day and night. Therefore, when there were no more corpses in the hall, she weakly fell to the ground. At this time, she seemed to be a little confused about her background, and also confused about the road ahead. If she told this to her master, would she help to destroy the Bone Clan? No way. Right now, this clan was one of the most loyal clans in Master's hands. Moreover, the Bone Clan Master's cultivation was at the 7th grade, and he took the initiative to submit to her master. He was now a great general of a ladder. In these years, the Bone Clan had made great contributions to her master's unification of the sea. Why would she destroy this royal clan for a small Golden Scale clan? Unless she died. Suddenly, Er's eyes flashed with determination. With her strength, not to mention destroying the Bone Clan, she might not even be able to defeat Guao. Revenge was still far away, but she didn't want to wait for even a moment. She wanted to take a gamble. She wanted to gamble on whether her value was worth her master's wrath. Lord Ling Xiao. She only had one Dao artifact in her hands. As for the other one, it would probably be very difficult to return. Thank you for taking care of Shi'er along the way. Let's part ways here. Shi'er struggled to get up from the ground and bowed to Ling Xiao. At this moment, her eyes clearly contained a hint of death. However, in Ling Xiao's eyes, this scene was somewhat childish. How could he not guess Shi'er's thoughts? But would a dead person have any value to an ambitious and ruthless person? Villains who would actually care about feelings. Let's go. Ling Xiao shook his head. The chess piece had been placed, and the game had officially begun. Young master, take care. She nodded with a mournful expression. However, just as she took a step forward and was about to leave, she saw Ling Xiao suddenly reach out and grab her hand. Young master, I'll accompany you to the Bone Clan. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently. His starry eyes were deep and resplendent like a celestial charm, instantly reflecting into the girl's heart. Young master, your master should be the current Sea Emperor, Zian, right? Ling Xiao smiled. Seeing the girl's slightly serious eyes, he immediately shook his head. You don't have to worry. I'm not interested in the matters of the Sea Clan. However, since I promised the Golden Scale Clan's clan master to take care of you, I naturally won't watch you throw your life away. The Bone Clan is a royal clan of the Endless Sea. If I slaughter them, it will definitely bring a great disaster to you. However, since your master is the Sea Emperor, everything is different. What? Young master. You. To be honest, Shi'er was completely dumbfounded. From what she heard, he wanted to slaughter an entire royal clan of the Endless Sea clan alone. How domineering was this? Of course, if it was someone else doing this, they would be somewhat overestimating their own capabilities and asking for humiliation and ridicule. However, it was very inexplicable that a trace of hope gradually appeared in Shi's eyes. She had seen this young master's peerless attitude and knew that there were experts following behind him, especially that terrifying war puppet that was several zhang tall. It could even casually crush an elder of the demonic crow clan to death. This might work. Young master, if you can take revenge for Shi'er is willing to be your slave for the rest of her life to repay you. In an instant, Shi'er's eyes turned red and her cheeks became wet. Beep. The destined girl wants to submit to the villain who exterminated her clan. Congratulations to the host for plundering 500 luck points and 5,000 villain points. Shi'er, what are you saying? I did all this because I promised to take care of you in front of the old clan master. You don't have to do this. Ling Xiao's expression was solemn, but he sneered in his heart. That's right. What Dao tools and spiritual treasures? How could they be as fragrant as you? The Dragon Lady was originally the favorite of heaven and earth and was rarely seen. Although Shi'er's parents might have died long ago, with her talent and bloodline, she was destined to soar in the 9 heavens and become a helper for Ling Xiao when he stepped into the immortal region in the future. However, he was getting more and more confused. How could this barren land of the Shenzhou continent have so many talented people? Although these people's cultivation levels were not high, each of them was tyrannical and had no talent. As everyone knew, the more ancient the land, the purer the origin of heaven and earth it contained. Only such an ancient land could give birth to peerless geniuses. Could it be that this Shenzhou continent, in addition to being a prison, was hiding an even greater secret? Ling Zhao's eyes narrowed. If Yi Qingchan's memories were still intact, he might be able to find out a thing or two from this foliaceae. But now, this secret could only be found from the Divine Master. However, something was still not right. Back then, the ancestor of the foliaceae that Ling Xiao had killed destroyed his own physical body and used his remnant soul to suppress the demon bone in a futile attempt to possess the sky demon and achieve immortality. If this land had a greater secret than the sky demon bone, how could she not know with her experience and knowledge? If that was the case, why did she need to take the extra step of plotting against the sky demon? Confusing and confusing, the fog rose again. Young master, just as Ling Xiao was pondering, she suddenly hugged him tightly, as if she wanted to merge herself into Ling Zhao's embrace. For the first time in her life, she felt warmth and peace from an outsider. Treat me as my sister? But, young master, I don't want to be your sister. All right, let's go. The bone race is brutal and should be exterminated, Ling Xiao said indifferently. He put away a bone spear on the ground, held Shi Er's hand, and walked towards the depths of the sea. He did not care about the bone race, but Gu Ao was just a brick. He wanted to use this trash to lure out the real protagonist of this game. Young Master Yijan, are you comfortable in the Flood Dragon clan? What? Your Flood Dragon clan doesn't have a young Master Yijan. Do you dare to let me search for him? Puffed. I guess you don't dare, but it's okay. The Sea Emperor will find an excuse to help me search. Heaven and earth are the game, and you are all chess pieces. Some games cannot be avoided just because you don't want to. Chapter 724. The Bone Clam Clan was a royal clan of the Endless Sea. It was rumored that this clan was the first to submit to the Sea Emperor Ziyan. Even though there were 10 royal clans in the sea, the Bone Clan was still highly regarded by the Sea Emperor. The reason was that this clan looked like a tongue. Therefore, before taking action, Ling Xiao purposely mentioned Shi and the Sea Emperor's identities to ensure his guess was correct. To an ambitious and ruthless person, loyalty and friendship were meaningless. What she valued was always her own interests. I'd rather betray the world than let the world betray me. Thy wife? Oh, I digress. In short, if Shi died in the hands of Gu Ao, the Sea Emperor wouldn't destroy the Bone Clan for her. Similarly, if Shi destroyed the Bone Clan, the Sea Emperor wouldn't blame her too much. After all, there was no benefit to be gained from a dead person. When the sea in front of them suddenly emitted a dazzling white light, Ling Zhao's figure landed and looked at a white palace at the end of his sight. Above the palace, spiritual light flickered and tens of thousands of bone pearls were embedded, blooming with a dim light. From afar, the palace looked like an inverted clam shell, beautiful and strange. Compared to the Golden Scale Clan's palace, this palace was undoubtedly several times more majestic. There were many tyrannical auras fluctuating inside, which belonged to the Bone Clan. Stop! Who are you? Just as Ling Xiao and Shi were walking towards the Bone Palace, 6 Bone Clan members suddenly appeared in front of them, blocking their path. Buzz! Without hesitation, Ling Xiao stretched out 2 fingers and chopped down. 6 heads fell neatly on the ground, spreading out a few feet of blood. Shi Er's eyes narrowed slightly, carefully glancing at Ling Xiao. She didn't know why, but sometimes she felt that this young master was warm and upright, and sometimes she felt that he was too cruel and cold. It was very contradictory, but also very fascinating. What's wrong? As if sensing the confusion in Shi Er's eyes, Ling Xiao turned his head and revealed a gentle smile. Brother, you're so brave. It's nothing. I'm just familiar with it. Ling Zhao's face was indifferent. He turned to look at the Bone Palace, raised his finger, and waved it down. Guao, come out and face your death. Buzz. A wisp of clear light bloomed like the primordial chaos, bringing with it the destruction of 3,000 worlds. Cher only saw the sea in front of her rippling, and then the distant bone palace actually broke apart neatly from the middle. A rich blood aura filled the hall. Obviously, Ling Zhao's finger attack had killed many of the bone race extras who hadn't reacted in time. Who is it? Who dares to act so presumptuously in my bone race? The entire bone race territory suddenly fell into chaos. One figure after another walked out and stood in front of the bone palace. The leader was a dignified, middle-aged man in a golden robe. His aura had already reached rank 7 Martial Emperor. He was the current ruler of the Bone Clan, Gu Yueshing. Behind him, there were a few other god emperors standing side by side. Gu Ao's figure was hiding behind the crowd in fear. His eyes were filled with a kind of complicated and doubtful panic. Young master, is that you? No. Young master is your father. What's going on? Is he him? Why is it that right after I helped you destroy the Golden Scale clan, you single-handedly infiltrated my bone race? No. Come on if you want to show off. Why did you come alone? You were killed by my biological father 10,000 times over. My soul, has a soul imprint that you planted. Will I die with you? Were you the one who split open my clan's sacred palace just now? The ruler of the bone race looked at Ling Xiao with a puzzled expression. When the unparalleled sword intent fell, he thought it was a human god emperor of the sword path. But why was a young man? Gu Ao, were you the one who destroyed the Golden Scale clan? Ling Xiao did not pay attention to Gu Yueshing. Instead, he coldly looked at Gu Ao behind him. Hearing this, the latter's face trembled slightly and coldly snorted. That's right. Since you admit it, then it's easy to talk. Ling Xiao nodded indifferently and glanced at the many experts of the bone race in front of the palace. Other than Gu Yueshing, there were 5 other god emperors in the Sea Region royal clan. Their cultivations were mostly in the 3rd or 5th stage. Of course, there was also a 6th-stage god emperor in the bone race, but he died at the Forgotten Islet. Destroyed the Golden Scale clan? Gu Yueshing looked at Gu Ao with a puzzled expression. You did it? Father, I was entrusted by someone. Gu Ao smiled embarrassedly. While I was traveling the Sea Region, I met a good brother. He had some enmity with the Golden Scale clan and asked me to help him teach them a lesson. What? Hearing this, Er's eyes flashed with surprise and anger. It turned out that Gu Ao didn't hate her for destroying the Golden Scale clan. He was also instructed by someone. But how many people in the entire Sea Region could order a noble young master of the royal clan to do that? Good brother? What good brother? Why haven't I heard you mention it before? Inexplicably, Gu Yueshing felt a little uneasy. Although the Golden Scale clan was a small clan, now that the Sea Region was unified, the Ocean Emperor strictly prohibited the extermination of clans. As the loyal dogs of the Ocean Emperor, how could the Bone Race do such a thing against the Ocean Emperor? Did they still want this year's Most Loyal Dog Award? Father, his name is Ijan. He said that he could bring me to the peak of the Sea Region and make me stand out without any effort. He is now with the Flood Dragon clan. As soon as Gu Ao finished speaking, Gu Yueshing's face turned dull. Ijan. That's right. Father, do you know this good brother of mine? I know you, your ass. Slap. Gu Yueshing slapped Gu Ao to the ground. In the past few days, Zi Huang had personally ordered to investigate the whereabouts of a young man named Ijan. He said that this person pretended to be from the Heavenly Crocodile clan and joined forces with the great demons of the human clan to slaughter the common people. He had angered the Saint sect and was to be killed without mercy. Of course, not many people in the entire Sea Region believed such words. Pretended to be from the Heavenly Crocodile clan? If he didn't have the bloodline of the Heavenly Crocodile, how could he do that? Using his mouth? However, Gu Yueshing did not even dream of it. The Heavenly Crocodile clan that he had been tracking for several days was actually right under his nose. Moreover, he had become good friends with the young master of the Bone Race. Son of 8B*TCH, I think you want to kill everyone in the bone race. Wait, what did Ao say just now? The Heavenly Crocodile clan was now a guest of the Flood Dragon clan? Hiss, this is a great merit, a great merit. No, I have to calm down first. I must not let others know about this secret. As long as I can report this to the Ocean Emperor and kill the Heavenly Crocodile clan and the Flood Dragon clan, the bone race will be second only to one person in the sea region in the future. Ijan, Ling Xiao raised his eyebrows slightly. Is it the descendant of the Heavenly Crocodile clan who joined forces with the demon sect? Flood Dragon clan? Why? Is it related to the Flood Dragon clan again? Shier's pretty face was pale, and she was obviously nervous. Unlike the bone race, the royal clan was the real overlord of the sea region. If not for the Ocean Emperor's tyrannical strength, the Flood Dragon clan would be the leader of the sea region now. It doesn't matter. In the end, they will all die. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently. His eyes suddenly turned cold, and he suddenly turned his head to look at the depths of the sea region. There was a slight fluctuation that suddenly disappeared without a trace. Chapter 725. Arrogant Brat. Do you really think you are the sacred sect's divine master? Destroy my bone clan? Do you think you are worthy? Gu Yueshing wanted to go to the Sea Emperor Palace immediately and report Ijan's whereabouts to the Sea Emperor. But before that, he needed to kill this outsider who also knew Ijan's whereabouts. In case this news related to the Bone Clan's meteoric rise was leaked. How did you see through my identity? Ling Xiao raised his eyebrows slightly, took out the divine token from his cosmos bag, and raised it above his head. Why don't you kneel when you see me? Buzz. A wisp of immortal intent suddenly fell. The divine token suddenly bloomed with a golden brilliance. The terrifying momentum seemed to overturn heaven and earth, stirring up the sea within thousands of miles. Before the sarcasm on Gu Yueshing's face dissipated, he was completely stunned. What the F***CK? Is this the so-called prophecy coming true? Plop, plop. Among the Bone Clan, there was a sudden sound of kneeling. The people who were originally arrogant knelt on the ground, trembling. Only Gu Yueshing's eyes were filled with doubt. It shouldn't be. The divine power in this golden token was indeed extremely terrifying. But looking at this young man's appearance, was he in his early 20s? Could he be the legendary Holy Son of the Sacred Sect? Are you the Holy Son of the Sacred Sect? Holy Son, is there any misunderstanding between us? Even if it was the Holy Son of the Sacred Sect, Gu Yueshing couldn't provoke him. At this time, there seemed to be a flash of determination in his eyes. Then he grabbed Gu Ao's head and brought him in front of Ling Xiao. Holy Son, if my son provoked you, I am willing to hand him over to you for punishment. Oh, Ling Xiao raised his eyebrows slightly, but the corner of his mouth raised into a playful smile. This is an important actor that I specially invited. So, the Bone Clan must be destroyed today, but he can't die. Otherwise, who will go to the Flood Dragon clan to testify against Ijan? As for why did he expose his identity as the Holy Son? Haha, sometimes it's not a bad thing to reveal some flaws appropriately. After all, he is now the Holy Son of the Sacred Sect, so there's no flaw. Everything to the extreme will make people suspicious. Shier, am I right? I'm the Holy Son of the Sacred Sect. What bad intentions can I have? Mysterious things were indeed frightening, but it was hard to trust them completely. Moreover, Ziyin would definitely come to the Bone Race to investigate this matter. Ling Xiao needed an identity to explain why he had slaughtered this race. Otherwise, with that woman's scheming mind, she might not really give him a chance to make a deal. Bone Clan Patriarch, I'm afraid you don't understand what I mean. When I said that the Bone Clan would be slaughtered today, I meant it. Ling Xiao shook his head. Gu Yueshing's face finally darkened. Holy Son, aren't you being too overbearing? I'm afraid it's impossible for you to destroy my bone race. Everyone stand up. Boom! Demonic chi rippled from Gu Yueshing's body like a sea, instantly blocking the power of the divine token. Behind him, the 4 Emperor Gods from the Bone Clan stepped forward slowly, and their eyes were filled with fighting spirit. What a joke. A mere saint of the sacred sect came to my deep sea alone and threatened to exterminate my entire clan? What was he going to use to destroy it? With his mouth. F***CK. I can't do it alone, but what if I add them? Ling Zhao's eyes were cold, and the corners of his mouth rose into a sinister smile. Immediately after, everyone was dumbstruck when they saw figures with terrifying auras appear one after another behind the youth. Behind them was a sea of blood. Gulp. Even with Gu Yueshing's temperament, his eyes flashed with shock when he saw Xiong Huan and the others standing beside Ling Xiao. Moreover, the 10,000 blood guards standing in a neat row inexplicably made people feel stifled. Holy son, you see, why don't we kill? Ling Xiao ignored the panic on Gu Yueshing's face and waved his hand lightly. Xiong Huan, Xing Shun, Hua Heng, and the others turned into afterimages and blocked the Bone Clan's emperors. Xiao Beifa led the 10,000 blood guards and charged toward the Bone Clan's emperors. Blood instantly dyed the sea red, and the terrifying spiritual power crushed the sea water into a whirlpool. However, facing Xiong Huan and the others, the Bone Clan's emperors could not resist at all. In a short period of time, 2 of them died, their bodies and souls destroyed. What a pity. Ling Xiao shook his head and sighed. Now that he was in front of Xi, he did not dare to easily devour their divine souls. Moreover, the Sea Emperor would come eventually. Judging from the way she trapped Eni, this woman's means were heaven-defying, and she was especially skilled in the Tao of Arrays. If she found out something, it would definitely affect Ling Zhao's overall situation. Ling Xiao had already sensed the figure hiding in the distance. This person had been following him all the way from the Forgotten Islet. However, he did not show himself, nor did he have any killing intent. His demonic aura was extremely evil, and he had comprehended the Ice Dao Law. This kind of Dao Law was rare, and Ling Xiao knew this person's identity after a little investigation. He was the Sea Emperor's personal servant, Commander Shi. Just now, Ling Xiao deliberately intimidated him so that he could send a message to the Sea Emperor. The news of Yijan's appearance was enough to lure the new Sea Emperor into the game. Otherwise, why did you think he could leave alive? Young master, who are they? Shia looked at the Bone Clan's people who were slaughtered in surprise. Although this kind of slaughter did make her feel good, it was still not enough. However, the sea that was dyed red was a little shocking. They are all my servants. Ling Xiao raised his head, looked at Gu Ao, who was curled up at the side of the hall, and waved his hand gently. Young master. Gu Ao rolled and crawled to kneel in front of Ling Xiao. At this moment, he was already terrified of this demon-like young man. He was the one who ordered the destruction of the Golden Scale Clan, but now he was using this as an excuse to destroy the Bone Clan. Moreover, from what he said just now, it was obvious that he had thoughts about the Flood Dragon Human Clan. Could it be that he planned to destroy the Flood Dragon Human Clan as well? You said that Yijan was hiding in the Flood Dragon Human Clan? He ordered you to destroy the Golden Scale Clan? Ling Zhao's expression was calm, and he didn't care about the chaotic battlefield in the distance. Yes, it was Yijan. He asked me to do it. Gu Ao's entire body was trembling. What can I do? I was planted with a seal, and I said whatever you wanted me to say. Oh, then follow me to the Flood Dragon Human Clan later. Let's meet your good brother. Ling Xiao snorted coldly, but Gu Ao was a little confused. He had heard of Yijan's name before. However, I don't know whether he is in the Flood Dragon Human Clan or not. Could it be that Master Ling Xiao intends to forcefully push the blame onto the Flood Dragon humanoid race? However, Gu Ao looked back at the Bone Clan's experts who were almost completely slaughtered, and he swallowed his saliva. Master, although your subordinates are brave, I'm afraid it's a little impossible to destroy the Flood Dragon Human Clan. After all, that clan was the real overlord of the sea. Before the Purple Emperor, they had dominated the endless sea for thousands of years. Anyone the Bone Race's masters could easily crush the Bone Race. The reason why the Bone Clan is ranked as one of the top 10 royal clans is because Our clan looks tough, but it's actually very soft. Do you think we are called the most loyal clan of the Ocean Emperor for nothing? F***CK. Should I remind Master not to mix our race with the Flood Dragon humanoid race? Saint of the Saints sect, you've gone too far. A furious roar suddenly came from the hall in the distance. Gu Yueshing was hit by Xiong Huan's palm, and his chest instantly collapsed, revealing his white bones. However, he took this opportunity to rush toward Ling Xiao. She and Gu Ao's expressions changed at the same time. However, with their cultivation, they couldn't react in time. They could only watch as Gu Yueshing's palm print pierced through the sea and appeared a few feet above Ling Xiao's head. Young master, be careful. Moskov, father, don't be rash. Buzz. What? Just as Gu Yueshing's eyes were ferocious and he was laughing eerily, Ling Xiao's eyes suddenly flashed with a touch of playfulness. Chapter 726. Boom! Gu Yueshing's expression was ferocious. He struck out with his palm, which instantly grew to a size of 1,000 feet. The runes on it flickered, and the laws of Tao flowed. Like a falling star, it enveloped Ling Xiao in the blink of an eye. So what if you're the holy son of the saint? In the end, none of us will be able to survive today. You will be buried here with my bone race. However, before the coldness on the Bone Clan Lord's face dissipated, a look of surprise flashed across his eyes. At this moment, he seemed to feel that the entire sea region seemed to have suddenly paused for a moment. It was the feeling that time had stopped, and his palm print did not seem to be able to imprint on Ling Xiao's body. It seemed to be entangled by something. What the F***CK? A 17 or 18-year-old boy could actually block his furious palm strike. Impossible. I don't believe it. Gu Yueshing stopped his attack, and the spiritual light in front of him dissipated. Then, he saw in disbelief that 4 figures had suddenly appeared in front of Ling Xiao. 3 of them were dressed in black robes, and their faces were covered by ghost masks. However, the aura on their bodies was mixed with a wisp of demonic aura. Especially the leader, who was at the same level as him, had reached the level of a 7th-grade divine emperor. The last person was a fat young man. He looked wretched, and his emperor's aura was somewhat mystical. How can this be? To be honest, although Gu Yueshing knew that the holy son of the saint would have terrifying means and demonic talents, he did not expect him to have so many servants by his side. How afraid of death are you? 7 divine emperors and 10,000 blood guards. This lineup was as terrifying as the royal clan of the sea region. No wonder he dared to fight the Bone Clam clan alone. It turned out that he was confident. Holy son, do you think I'll be lucky enough to become one of them? Just as Gu Yueshing looked at Ling Xiao expectantly, a blood-stained palm suddenly reached out from his chest. Behind him, Xiong Huan's figure stood tall, his eyes filled with an extremely cold glint. You're not worthy. Ling Xiao shook his head, and a demonic blade appeared in his hand. With a slash, he devoured Gu Yueshing's essence, blood, and divine soul. Gu Ao, bring them to collect your clan's resources. Yes, young master. Gu Ao nodded indifferently before turning around and walking towards the Bone Race's main hall. Young master. At this moment, Shi Er's face was still filled with shock. So simple? The royal clan of the sea region, the royal clan that could intimidate thousands of miles of sea region, was exterminated just like that? The holy son of the saint? No wonder he was so calm and collected. It turned out that he was the most powerful 2nd generation in this world. Let's go. Let's meet young master Yijan and ask him why he wants to destroy your Golden Scale clan. Ling Xiao stepped forward, heading towards the depths of the sea. However, Shi Er's beautiful face flickered with a trace of hesitation. Sir, what's wrong, Shi? Young master, why don't we forget it? You don't want to avenge the Golden Scale clan anymore? Ling Xiao raised his eyebrows slightly, but sneered in his heart. Forget it? I've just placed my first chess piece, and you're already saying forget it? Yes, but young master, The Bone Race simply cannot be compared to the Flood Dragon human clan. This clan has many experts and was the true overlord of the sea region before Master. Shur sighed softly. Although the extermination of the Golden Scale clan made her feel so much pain that she wished she was dead. However, after interacting with Ling Xiao for the past few days, a trace of hope reappeared in her heart. She was unwilling to watch him throw away his life. Even if Ling Xiao's identity was noble enough, his talent was monstrous enough, and he had experts following him, he was still too insignificant compared to the Flood Dragon human clan. This was the sea region, and it had never been restricted by the Saint sect. Even Ziyan might not know how many experts there were in an ancient clan that had existed for thousands of years. Back then, when the sea region was unified, it was the general trend. Ziyan descended with thousands of demons, and the Flood Dragon human clan had no choice but to bow their heads and submit. However, the entire sea region knew that the Flood Dragon human clan did not acknowledge the Sea Emperor from the bottom of their hearts. Nothing can stop me from doing what I promised. Ling Zhao's expression was calm as he looked at the sea region in the distance. The depths of the sea region were pitch black, without a trace of light. It was extremely frightening. However, the darker the place, the better. The stage for demons. Young master, Shir's pretty face froze, and a complicated expression appeared in her beautiful eyes. What is taking responsibility? Not retreating when facing the strong or the weak. Not feeling sad when facing the weak. Once you say it, even if you die, you will not regret it. Lord Ling Xiao, it is Shir's honor to meet you. However, am I worthy? Am I worthy to ask you to risk your life? All right, let's go. No matter how strong the Flood Dragon human clan is, I don't believe that they will dare to become enemies with the Saint sect. Ling Xiao snorted coldly. Until now, he had not contacted the first divine envoy. Surprisingly, the first divine envoy did not take the initiative to look for him either. Ling Xiao had made many arrangements to disrupt the situation in the southern border. However, there was a faint sense of uneasiness. Could it be that the first divine envoy noticed something? Or could it be that the first divine envoy noticed that there was something wrong with the Saint of the Saint? Of course, no matter which possibility it was, it did not affect Ling Xiao much. The Divine Master token was in his hands, and Dugi Yunjin could not contact the Divine Master at all. Ling Xiao only needed to delay him in the southern border, and the first divine envoy could only be a turtle in a jar. If the true demon was not enough to attract the first divine envoy's attention, would an expert who could perform the extreme Ice Dao law be enough? No matter what the relationship between Dugi Yunjin and the Divine Master was, and whether he knew the real reason for Yi Qingchan's death, once news about her appeared, it would be enough to make him panic. The Divine Master's loyal servant traveling the four borders? Are you secretly helping the Divine Master to find the demon with the Dao Law? Haha, Sea Emperor, how about we make a deal? You can ask your commander Sheiji to help me kill a few people. The Blood Shark Royal Palace was located in the southwest of the Endless Sea region. Compared to the Bone Clam, Demon Crow, and other clans, the Blood Shark clan had a stronger foundation. After all, the Blood Shark clan was known to be ruthless. However, the entire Blood Shark Royal Palace was eerily quiet today. The Blood Shark clan's clan lord, Sha Bai, was kneeling in the main hall with a panicked expression. His entire body was trembling as if he had seen something extremely terrifying. In front of him, the corpse of an elder of the Blood Shark clan was laid out in front of the hall. However, there was not a single wound on his body. It was as if his divine soul had been shattered by someone. You really don't know the whereabouts of the Heavenly Alligator clan? A cold laugh suddenly came from above the main hall. A purple-robed figure stood with his hands behind his back. He seemed to be admiring the blood shark totem in the hall. Purple Emperor, I really don't know. Sha Bai's voice was filled with fear. Even though he was a 7th-stage Great Emperor, he was still as weak as an ant in front of this person. In fact, just a wisp of her aura was enough to make the Blood Shark clan's clan Lord Despair. He did not dare to disobey her. Chapter 727. Oh, but why did I hear that the elders your Bloodshark clan sent to the immortal mystic sect all joined the heavenly alligator clan and joined forces with the southern border demon sect to slaughter the immortal mystic sect? The purple-robed woman slowly turned around, revealing a charming and enchanting face. Although she had a smile on her face and her tone was gentle, when the clan master of the Bloodshark clan saw this scene, he was so frightened that he almost lost his mind and died on the spot. Zi Huang, the loyalty of my Bloodshark clan can be seen by the sun and moon. Slander. This is pure slander. A few days ago, an elder escaped from the immortal mystic sect and told me personally about what happened to the immortal mystic sect. It was this human force that broke the agreement and attacked my Sea clan. They even protected a heavenly poison evil body. Oh, is that so? Zi Huang nodded indifferently. Her golden eyes were filled with a hint of seriousness. She went to the immortal mystic sect, and I escaped. Just now, she also saw the tragic death of the Sea clan's divine emperor sent by Ling Xiao in the memory of the Bloodshark clan's elder who died in front of the palace. It was indeed the heavenly poison. But who was the one lying? When she was fighting with the first divine envoy, she heard the immortal mystic sect lord calling for help. He said that the heavenly alligator clan led Sha Yun and others to join forces with the southern border demon sect to slaughter this human force. But now, the Bloodshark clan's clan lord said that the immortal mystic sect killed 10 of his elders. Now, the immortal mystic sect was destroyed, and the Sea clan's 10 emperors had disappeared without a trace. What the hell is going on? Faintly, Ziyin felt that a big net fell from the sky and enveloped the entire southern border. Could it be Ijan? Emperor, my Bloodshark clan has never been disloyal to the immortal mystic sect. This time, even my son Wuxia died. If you still don't believe me, take my life today. The Bloodshark clan's clan lord slowly closed his eyes, as if he was willing to die. However, the purple emperor's expression was cold. She waved her hand, and a wisp of spirit light turned into a gust of wind that helped the Bloodshark clan patriarch up from the ground. Shark clan master, what are you talking about? How can I not know about your loyalty? It's just that Ijan impersonated the heavenly crocodile clan and caused chaos to the people of my sea region. It's really abominable. Now, he has joined forces with the demon sect to destroy the immortal mystic sect. I don't think the saints sect will let him go. Ziyin smiled faintly. However, the meaning behind her smile was extremely obvious. Ijan had already incurred the wrath of both humans and demons. Whoever dared to shield him would suffer the joint punishment of the Sea Emperor Palace and the Saint Sect. Don't worry, Purple Emperor. I will order all the clansmen to search for traces of that Ijan. Once found, they will kill without mercy. Buzz. As soon as the patriarch of the Bloodshark clan spoke, the space above the hall rippled for an instant. Immediately after, a middle-aged man in a black robe descended from the sky and landed beside the clan leader of the Bloodshark clan. Your Majesty. The person who came was in a black robe. He had a long face and an aquiline nose. His eyes were long and sinister. They were a strange brown color that made people feel sinister at first glance. His name was Shi Si, a personal guard of the Purple Emperor. His cultivation had already reached the peak of the 6th-stage Divine Emperor. He was highly regarded by the Sea Emperor. You can speak freely. Seeing the vigilance in Shi Si's eyes, Ziyin shook her head and smiled. Princess Shi Er's whereabouts have been found. The Golden Scale clan has been destroyed. Now, she is questioning the Bone clan with a young human. According to the young master of the Bone clan, he was ordered by Ijan. Now, that person is hiding in the Flood Dragon clan. What? Ziyin's beautiful eyes narrowed. A great force suppressed the world around her. Instantly, all the experts of the Sea clan present prostrated themselves on the ground and shivered uneasily. Flood Dragon clan. Among the 10,000 clans in the Sea region, the Flood Dragon clan was undoubtedly the strongest. They had a long history and countless experts in their clan. It was also because of this that this clan had always looked down on Ziyin. They had even secretly plotted against her. Could it be that they know Shi-Er's identity and are deliberately making things difficult for me? Ziyin frowned slightly. Thousands of rays of light shot out from her golden eyes, forming countless avatars. Your Majesty, should we? A glint of coldness flashed across Shi's brown eyes. Meanwhile, boundless demonic aura surged around Zihuan. Is this true? This subordinate dares not confirm. At that time, I felt that the human who was traveling with Princess had sensed my aura. Flood Dragon Clan, you are really bold. Ziyin took a step forward. Her body turned into a graceful swan and instantly disappeared. As for the Bloodshark Clan Master and the others, they looked at each other with a complicated look in the depths of their eyes. The sea region was probably going to become chaotic. At this moment, in the depths of the sea region, Ling Xiao and Shi were walking side by side. They were heading towards the Dragon Transformation Sea, where the Flood Dragon Clan was located. The Flood Dragon Clan was originally a slave clan of the Heavenly Alligator Clan. They had 1,000 years of inheritance and had a deep foundation. 300 years ago, Ziyin had dug out Yijan's beast core and seized his immortal origin. He had most likely recovered by now. As for Ling Xiao, he only needed to slightly help him expose his identity. Most likely, this ancient overlord would rise up and rebel. Shi had already left for a long time. At this moment, the Sea Emperor should also be rushing towards the Flood Dragon Clan. At that time, he only needed to put on a show to make the Sea Emperor fall into his trap. He would be able to complete 3 kills in one go. The first divine envoy, Yijan, and the Sea Emperor. The 3 of them were chess pieces. The overall situation of the sea region was in his hands. Young Master. Ahead is the Dragon Transformation Sea, where the Flood Dragon Clan is located. Normally, outsiders are not allowed to set foot in this sea region. Shi's voice was still somewhat nervous. After all, even her master was extremely wary of the Flood Dragon Clan. With young Master's strength, if he angered this clan, he would most likely be in danger. Outsiders are not allowed to set foot in this sea region. This Flood Dragon Clan is really overbearing. However, Shi, don't expose my identity for now. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He held Shi's jade-like hand and flew towards the sea region that was glowing with spiritual light. Okay, it was only when a divine pillar suddenly appeared in front of them that the 2 of them landed at the bottom of the sea. How dare you trespass into my Flood Dragon Clan's territory? In the depths of the sea, a crystal palace emitted a treasure aura. Looking from afar, one could see layers of floating immortal aura. Array Dao intent flowed and transformed into thousands of divine images. It was quite an immortal scene. Previously, Ling Xiao had learned from Eni that Yijan had tried to communicate with him using the clan order 10 years ago. However, Eni was already trapped in the array at that time and could not respond at all. With the caution of a person of destiny, Ling Xiao guessed that Yijan had most likely guessed something. You were killed 300 years ago and only appeared for the first time 10 years ago. Should I say that you're steady or cowardly? However, since Yijan had appeared in the Flood Dragon Clan, Ling Xiao guessed that he most likely had some ulterior motives. To be honest, it was too difficult to use the Flood Dragon Clan to kill Ziyin. There was also the risk of being exposed. However, using the power of the Flood Dragon Clan to find Eni and enter the Heavenly Crocodile Clan's ancestral land could be a plot. Interesting. I just don't know what realm this Yijan's cultivation is at now. Ling Xiao stretched out his finger and slashed down. A wisp of clear light tore through the sea curtain and directly cut the 2 Flood Dragon Clan guards outside the palace in half. Chapter 728. Lord of the Flood Dragon Clan, come out and answer me. Ling Xiao kicked the crystal palace door and smashed it. Holding Shi's hand, he strode into the palace. At this moment, there was a trace of fear on Shi's pretty face. She felt like a lamb entering a tiger's mouth and seeking her own death. How dare you? Where did you come from? Suddenly, a terrifying aura rushed out of the crystal palace. As the name suggested, The Flood Dragon clan was a demon clan born from a union of sea flood dragons and other clans. This clan had mixed talents, and the blood of thousands of clans flowed in their bodies. It was amazing. Of course, dragons were lustful by nature, and so were flood dragons. Therefore, this clan quickly became the most numerous clan in the sea. Moreover, the Flood Dragon clan contained a trace of dragon blood. Although they were thousands of miles away from the true dragon, they were still intimidating to ordinary sea clans and demons. The demon clan's reproduction was not as good as the human clans. At the beginning, the Flood Dragon clan relied on their numbers to gain a foothold in the sea and gradually became a powerful clan in the sea. Who are you? A sea of demonic aura rose and fell in the Crystal Palace. Countless experts of the Flood Dragon clan surrounded Ling Xiao and Shi from all directions, trapping them in the palace. Young man, who are you? Compared to Gu Yuejian, the Flood Dragon clan lord was much calmer and more cautious. In particular, the immortal aura flowing around Ling Xiao's body made him feel inexplicably fearful. A human young man came to the Flood Dragon clan to kill people casually. If this person was not a fool, he must have something to rely on. Looking at this young man's appearance, he should not be a fool. Then he should have a great background. You are the Flood Dragon clan lord? Ling Xiao looked coldly at the golden-robed, middle-aged man who was the leader. 8th grade, Divine Emperor, Water Dao Law. He had the might of a dragon and was full of vigor. I am Aoi. Young man, who are you? Why did you come to the Flood Dragon clan to kill people? If you don't give me an explanation today, stay here. Aoi frowned and glanced at Shi casually. His eyes narrowed. At this moment, he seemed to feel a suppression from this girl's bloodline. How is that possible? In the entire endless sea? No, in the entire Shenzhou continent. The only person who could suppress him in terms of bloodline was the demon emperor of the demon race. But even he might not be able to give him such terrifying pressure. This was because there was also a strand of dragon blood flowing in his body. Today, if you don't give me an explanation, the name of the Flood Dragon humanoid race will be removed from the sea region. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently, but the moment his voice fell, he clearly felt Shi jade hand grip on his hand a little tighter. Don't be afraid. With me here, no one in the sea can harm you. Ling Xiao turned his head and looked at the girl beside him. The gentleness on his face instantly dispelled the fear in Shi-er's heart. She didn't know why, but every time she saw his handsome and cold face, Shi-er always felt that he would definitely be able to do what he said. How dare you? Human youth, you're courting death. One of the sea race god emperors had a ferocious look on his face. He took a step forward and was about to rush towards Ling Xiao. However, right at that moment, the Flood Dragon humanoid race's clan chief extended his hand and stopped him. Young man, tell me why you're here. Someone in your Flood Dragon humanoid race instigated the Bone race to exterminate the Golden Scale race. Don't tell me you don't know about this. Ling Xiao's lips curled into a cold smile, but the expressions of Aoi and the other experts of the Flood Dragon humanoid race suddenly darkened. You're slandering us. My Flood Dragon humanoid race has no enmity with the Golden Scale race at all. Furthermore, the entire sea region knows about the relationship between my race and the Bone race. Aoi snorted coldly. There seemed to be a blood shadow floating around him, and a thick bloody aura quietly spread out. The Bone Clam race was Zi Yan's loyal servant and had always been looked down upon by the Flood Dragon humanoid race. This matter wasn't really a secret. Although the Flood Dragon humanoid race had submitted to Zi Yan on the surface, no one had ever walked out of the Dragon Transformation Sea in the past 100 years. In other words, they only moved around in their own territory and did not allow anyone to step into this place. It could be said that they had drawn a clear line with the entire sea race. Slandering us? Ling Xiao shook his head and casually released the bone pride from the Glaze ancient pagoda. I believe everyone knows this person. From the beginning to the end, Ling Xiao had never thought that he would be able to uproot the Flood Dragon humanoid race today. Shi-er was right. This royal race was different from the other royal races. They had a deep foundation. He still needed to use this race's foundation as a bargaining chip to restrain Ziyin. Otherwise, why would the Ocean Emperor obediently become a butcher knife in his hands? Bone pride? Aoyi's eyes flashed with surprise. He instinctively felt a trace of uneasiness in his heart. Looking at the expression of the Bone Clan's young master, he seemed to be extremely dejected. You say it. Ling Xiao patted Bone Pride's shoulder. The latter immediately roared at the experts of the Flood Dragon humanoid race with a resentful expression. It's all your Flood Dragon humanoid race's fault. If not for him, why would I have to slaughter the Golden Scale race and cause such a disaster for my Bone Clan? Ijan? Ha ha! Bone Pride, shouldn't you be more serious when you're slandering my race? When did my Flood Dragon humanoid race have a surname? Hiss, hiss, hiss. The elder of the Flood Dragon humanoid race who spoke seemed to have suddenly thought of something, and the expression on his face instantly froze. Hearing Bone Pride's words, Aoyi's face was also extremely gloomy. This person did not come with good intentions. However, no one in the entire sea region knew that Ijan was in his Flood Dragon humanoid race. Even in the Flood Dragon humanoid race, only a few elders knew about Ijan's identity. Ordinary clansmen did not notice the young man who suddenly appeared in the race. For the Demon Clan, especially those with ancient bloodlines, 100 years was a blink of an eye. Could it be that this was really done by young Master Ijan? Otherwise, with just Bone Pride, how could he be so sure that Ijan was in his Flood Dragon humanoid race? Haha, young Master Bone Pride, you can eat people indiscriminately, but you can't speak carelessly. Since when was there a person called Ijan in our race? Aoi looked at Ling Xiao coldly. With Bone Pride's temperament, even if he really knew about Ijan's existence, he would not dare to provoke him so blatantly. However, this young man in white did not look like a person with no status. However, why would a human like him want to get involved in the Sea Clan's affairs? He told me that if I did this well, he would take me with him. He said that he is now in the Flood Dragon humanoid race and that I can come here to find him if I need anything. I can't be wrong. Young Master, you must believe me. Everything I said is true. Bone Pride looked agitated as he vividly described the scene of his encounter with Ijan. Clan leader Ao, I am not here today to target the Flood Dragon humanoid race. I promised my sister that I would help her kill her enemy. Ling Xiao looked up at the gloomy clan leader of the Flood Dragon humanoid race and said calmly, I said that there is no one called Ijan in my race. If you continue to pester endlessly, don't blame me for being rude. Ao waved his hand, and immediately 2 Flood Dragon humanoid god emperors stepped forward and walked towards Ling Xiao. It seems that there is indeed no one called Ijan in the Flood Dragon humanoid race. Ling Xiao nodded and smiled. Suddenly, Folded Shadow's message came from his soul's sea. My lord, an expert is coming from the east. Is he finally here? Hearing the voice, Ling Xiao's eyes suddenly flashed with coldness. Bone Pride, how dare you lie to me? Chapter 729. I didn't. Gu Ao was stunned, especially when he saw the coldness in Ling Xiao's eyes. He felt a chill rising from the bottom of his feet. I've helped you exterminate your clan. I've also let you exterminate my clan. I've also spread the blame to the Flood Dragon clan. Why do I still feel like I'm going to be killed? Young Master, I'm really not lying. You can search my soul. Quick, search me. Gu Ao, hate being framed the most. F*CK. I didn't want to say that. But what can I do? I've been imprinted by Ling Xiao. Oh, since that's the case, I'll fulfill your wish. Ling Xiao snorted. The soul light in his eyes suddenly brightened. Everyone only saw Gu Ao's face stiffen. Then, it turned into a blank void. When did the Bone Clan's young master become so hot-blooded? To prove his innocence, he actually took the initiative to ask someone to search his soul? Clan Master Ao, what else do you have to say now? The dignified clan master of the Flood Dragon clan is actually so despicable and cowardly. What? You dare to do it, but don't dare to admit it? Ling Xiao casually threw Gu Ao, who had turned into a fool, to the side. The main character was about to arrive. Of course, he wouldn't leave such a big loophole for others to see through. Since Gu Ao's light and heat had been completely exhausted, there was no need for him to live anymore. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill all of you. Gu Ao suddenly stood up and pounced towards one of the Flood Dragon clan's experts with a crazed expression. In his hands, the two bone spears emitted a biting cold radiance. They contained an unparalleled killing intent. You're courting death. However, in the face of the Bone Clan's young master's all-out attack, the Flood Dragon clan's expert immediately revealed a look of disdain. He casually sent out a seal and shattered the bone spear. Gu Ao fell to the ground together with it. Pucci. The latter opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes rolled, and he actually died. F***CK? That Flood Dragon clan's expert looked at his palm in confusion. He then looked at Gu Ao's corpse in disbelief. When did I become so awesome? Does Clan Master Ao think that by killing Gu Ao, there will be no evidence? Ling Xiao shook his head. Dazzling lightning suddenly blossomed around his body. Since clan leader Ao is unwilling to hand over Yijan, I will kill him until he comes out. How can a coward be worthy of your protection? Arrogant. Ao frowned. Although the young man in front of him had immortal Dao runes, Yijan's matter was very important. If he was not careful, he might bring a calamity to the Flood Dragon humanoid race. Of course, as a slave, Ao naturally hoped that Yijan could grow up as soon as possible and have the strength to contend with Ziyan. At that time, the Flood Dragon humanoid race would follow the Dragon humanoid race and would have the merit of protecting their master. Even if the Heavenly Crocodile clan had declined, as long as the Heavenly Crocodile ancestor was still alive, the clan would rise again. Moreover, according to Yijan, the Heavenly Alligator tribe had 9 Emperor gods and hundreds of clansmen on standby. All he had to do was return to the ancestral land and lead everyone out of the border. Ziyin could be destroyed with a wave of his hand. The most important thing now was to find the clan leader of the Heavenly Alligator tribe, even if it was just his corpse. Because the key to open the ancestral land of the Heavenly Alligator was with him. Ao was originally worried that with Ziyan's means, she might have already gotten the key. However, Yijan only shook his head and smiled, saying that it was impossible. Men, execute these two who barged into my dragon transformation sea on the spot. At this point, Ao naturally would not let Ling Xiao and Yijan leave. Even if he was instinctively afraid of this young man, the matter of Yijan must not be leaked. Yes, several Emperor gods of the Flood Dragon humanoid race stepped forward and pressed their hands together. Seals appeared out of thin air, forming a screen, condensing, and suppressing Ling Xiao. The sea region within thousands of miles was bright and resplendent. Divine radiance bloomed like a sea of stars falling into the human world. The attacks in the sky were all performed by the Emperor gods with all their strength. One could imagine how powerful they were. Although the few people who attacked were only at the 2nd or 3rd stage realm, they were still very powerful. Even so, the entire sea region was still surging with waves that were tens of thousands of feet high. Young master, I've implicated you. Shi-Er's jade-like hand held Ling Xiao's palm tightly. The corners of her mouth curled up in a bitter smile. However, at this moment, there was no trace of panic in her eyes. It was as if she did not care about this destructive attack. It was also as if it was her last bit of gentleness. Shi-Er's talent had already begun to show when she merged with the black heaven water essence. Ling Xiao did not know if she knew about her own talent, but looking at her current appearance, it seemed like she had a trump card that could reverse the situation. What nonsense are you talking about? Ling Xiao smiled gently, but Shi-Er's eyes flickered with a faint blue light. In between her eyebrows, a vast and unparalleled divine sun bloomed with a mysterious light. Suddenly, a demonic figure that was hundreds of feet tall tore through the sky. At this moment, Although this demonic figure was blurry, the demonic power that it emitted had a kind of intimidating and destructive intent. However, before the demonic figure completely appeared, Ling Xiao's lips curled up into a smile. Then, he pulled Shi'er behind him. "You don't believe me?" What? Shi'er's expression froze. Even the blue light in between her eyebrows quietly dimmed for a moment. "Young master, I've said it before. With me here, no one in this sea region can hurt you." Ling Xiao did not turn around. However, the determination in his voice made Shi'er's heart tremble. She almost cried on the spot. The Golden Scale clan had been destroyed. Now, she had no one to rely on. Although her master was very good to her, Shi'er knew from the beginning that her master's feelings were built on the premise of benefits. Only Lord Ling Xiao did not have any ulterior motives. He even saved her lifetime and time again, risking his life for her. If the destruction of the Bone Clan had already touched Shi'er's heart, then looking at the determined figure in front of her who faced the 5 emperors directly, Shi'er, finally, had extravagant hopes. If the two of them did not die today, would it be considered as experiencing life and death in the future? Beep. The destined girl submits. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1,000 luck points and 10,000 villain points. Buzz. Ling Xiao looked ahead and saw the demon seal, spiritual treasure, falling from the sky. Then he suddenly clenched his fist. A ray of black light bloomed from his hand. Then, under the dumbfounded gaze of countless experts from the Flood Dragon human clan, he gently slashed the void. The terrifying saber essence seemed to have pierced through the sky. It swept across the heavens and killed all living things. It seemed to contain 3,000 Tao essences that could slash through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. At this moment, the sea region within a radius of 10,000 miles shattered neatly. Ripples spread out. Nothing in the world could stop it. In just an instant, the attack of the 5 emperors dissipated into nothingness. The leading second-grade divine emperor did not even have time to react. Or rather, everyone did not have time to react. They saw his body split open from the middle. His body and soul were destroyed. The whole world suddenly fell into dead silence. Everyone's faces were filled with shock and fear. How could it be possible? An 18-year-old young man broke the attack of 5 emperors with 1 slash and killed 1 emperor. Chapter 730. This, Ao Yi's expression froze, and he instinctively felt a trace of fear. Slaying the arch with his saber. Where did this young man come from? Why have I never heard of him before? With Ao Yi's status, it was impossible for him not to know if a demon appeared in the southern border. However, the sudden appearance of this young man and woman shocked him inexplicably. It was better not to provoke such a demon. Once provoked, one must eliminate him completely. Buzz. Ao Yi took a step forward and did not give Ling Xiao any time to react. Blood light suddenly surged on his palm and turned into a ferocious blood dragon, instantly tearing apart the sea. The surging demonic power was vast and shocking. The attack of an 8th-grade divine emperor was not something that an ordinary person could resist. At that moment, he intended to kill Ling Xiao and Shi'er. Hence, the blood dragon's phantom was 1,000 feet long and directly enveloped the entire space. The world suddenly turned blood red, and a strong bloody aura quietly spread. The blood dragon fell from the sky ferociously. In just a breath's time, it turned into a 1,000-foot blood seal. The Tao patterns on it flowed, and divine light flickered. It was majestic and heavy, and it wanted to suppress the world. Ling Xiao's eyes narrowed, but his lips curled into a cold smile. However, at that moment, he did not have any intention of retreating. He held a saber in one hand and blocked in front of Shi. Young master. Shi'er's eyes were red, and she clenched her fists tightly. Strangely, she did not have a trace of fear in her heart at that moment. To be able to die with young master wasn't an honor for Shi'er. Flood Dragon Clan leader, you are too much. Even if I die today, you will receive retribution sooner or later. Ling Xiao shouted angrily. He slashed out with the ancient saber in his hand, and the great Tao Law appeared on the blade. 1,000-foot saber intent bloomed in the air and shone brightly. However, with Ling Zhao's current strength, he could not fight against an 8th-grade divine emperor. Moreover, he had already sensed the aura hiding in the void. It was obvious that the Sea Emperor Zi Yin had arrived. Apart from the Purple Emperor, there was probably no one else in the entire sea region who could avoid Ao Yi's divine senses so easily. If not for Ling Zhao's terrifying spirit and the ancestral symbol, it would have been very difficult for him to detect her presence. However, since everyone was here, it was time for the show to begin. Pucci. The saber intent split open the sky like a Milky Way and collided with the blood seal. Right at this moment, a strand of blood suddenly sprayed out from Ling Zhao's mouth, and his entire body seemed as if he'd suffered a heavy injury and was blasted flying for over 10 m. But in this way, Shi Er's figure was completely exposed under the blood seal. "Sir, Shi Er, cough, cough, be careful." Ling Zhao fiercely clenched his teeth. Blood dyed his white teeth red and dripped onto his star robe, appearing especially glaring. However, in front of AOE, both Ling Zhao and Shi Er seemed insignificant. Thus, before the blood seal could descend, Shi Er's figure had already been crushed by the divine might, causing blood to seep out of her 7 apertures, and she was in an extremely sorry state. "Yijan, if you have the guts, come out and fight me. What's the point of hiding in the Flood Dragon clan?" Ling Zhao looked up at the sky and roared with a ferocious expression. Given Ziyan's character, she would most likely not be able to hold herself back when she heard Yijan's name. Even if she had some concerns, she had to have a reason to deal with Yijan. Therefore, she would definitely not let Ling Zhao and Shirk die in Ao Yi's hands. Of course, even if Ziyan did not act according to common sense, if Ling Zhao wanted to leave, a Flood Dragon clan leader would not be able to stop him. "How dare you still be so arrogant?" Ao Yi's eyes were sinister. In the end, his palm landed, completely suppressing Shi Er and Ling Zhao's figures. In an instant, waves surged and spirit radiance shot into the sky, covering thousands of kilometers of sea. However, just as the Flood Dragon clan members revealed looks of disdain, they saw Ao Yi's expression turn solemn. He suddenly stopped attacking, and a hint of resentment flickered in his eyes. Clan leader, beside him, a white-haired old man's expression froze. Aoi gave him a look and turned to walk towards the hall. "Sea Emperor, why are you in the mood to come to my dragon transformation sea today?" Then, under the horrified gazes of the Flood Dragon clan members, Aoi suddenly took a step forward and bowed towards the surging waves. "Sea Emperor." Everyone's expressions froze as they lowered their heads and bowed in panic. However, a cold and ethereal voice suddenly sounded from the front. "Clan leader Ao, you're so impressive. You even dare to kill my disciple." "What? Sea Emperor's disciple?" Ao Yi's eyes narrowed, but he felt that everything that happened today was too strange and coincidental. Given Ziyan's thoughts, it was not surprising that she wanted to set up a trap to find Yijan. However, he really could not figure out how she was so sure that Yijan was among the Flood Dragon clan. "He's here indeed." At the end of the waves, Ling Zhao's eyes were clear as he looked at the purple-robed figure standing in front of Shi Er. The corners of his mouth curled up into a playful smile. A 9th-grade divine emperor with a familiar aura. Immortal source? Indeed, the Ziyan that I mentioned was the current new Sea Emperor, who was also Shi Er's master, Zi Huang. However, what surprised Ling Zhao was that the Tao law that Zi Huang comprehended was not the Water Tao, but the Thunder Tao. No wonder Zi Huang could suppress and unify the chaotic, endless sea domain in just 100 years. The Thunder Tao was even more ferocious when encountering water. The sea creatures lived on water. Zi Huang's existence was more like their natural enemy. "Master!" Shi Er's pretty face froze for a moment before it turned into joy. The purple-robed figure finally turned her head. However, she did not look at Shi Er, but at Ling Xiao coldly. That pair of reddish-gold eyes were filled with a majesty that could not be provoked. When she opened and closed her eyes, it was as if the sun was pouring down and huge stars were falling to the earth. It made one's heart tremble with fear. Her purple dress fluttered in the wind, and she looked otherworldly. She was enchanting and stood aloof from the world. Ling Xiao had seen many beauties, but Zi Huang was the only one who had perfectly integrated two completely different temperaments in her body. Of course, if an ordinary person saw her for the first time, he or she would have already fallen for her. However, at this moment, Ling Xiao's eyes were especially cold, and there was not a trace of emotion in them. A woman who could play with Yijan and his son in the palm of her hand. Ling Xiao could not afford to be careless. It turned out to be a misunderstanding. Aoi smiled bitterly. Why didn't you tell us when Zi Huang accepted a disciple? It was a misunderstanding today. I did not prepare any congratulatory gift. This cold sky divine dagger is the most precious treasure of my Flood Dragon clan. Just treat it as Yijan. Ziyan shook her head and looked at him calmly. In your clan? She had gone to the Bone clan first, but only saw a sea of blood. Although she also suspected Ling Xiao's identity and motive, the most important thing now was to take this opportunity to find Yijan. Of course, Ling Xiao had already guessed what Ziyan was thinking. The reason why he had intimidated Snake House in advance was to ask Ian to come later so that he would have enough time to perfect the situation. Everything was under control and not luck. Ha ha ha, you don't trust me? Ever since you gave the order to find this young man who pretended to be from the Heavenly Alligator clan, my Flood Dragon clan has never been negligent. However, this sea is vast. It is easier said than done to find a person. Zi Huang, I guarantee with my life that Yijan is in the Flood Dragon clan. Before Aoi could finish, Ling Xiao suddenly interrupted him. Oh, who are you? Ziyan raised her eyebrows slightly, and there was a trace of doubt in her eyes. Why does this young man's voice sound so familiar? Oh, it doesn't matter. He will not live past tomorrow. Master, this is Lord Ling Xiao. If not for Lord Ling Xiao, I am afraid I would have died in the hands of the Bone Clan. Cheer's pretty face was pale. She reached out to wipe the blood from the corner of her mouth and nose. Oh, how do you know that Yijan is in the Flood Dragon clan? Ziyan's face was expressionless. She had already guessed that if Yijan did not die, he would definitely wreak havoc in the sea. She just did not expect to wait for 300 years. She did not care whether this young man named Ling Xiao appeared by coincidence or had ulterior motives. How could an ant kill a dragon? I searched the young master of the Bone Clan Soul Sea. In his memory, Yijan is now in the Flood Dragon clan. Moreover, he seems to have helped Yijan find the traces of another Heavenly Alligator clan elite. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently, but Ziyin and Aoyi's expressions froze at the same time. Another Heavenly Alligator clan elite? Could it be E&I? Chapter 731. Another Heavenly Alligator clan elite. In Ziyan's eyes, golden light shone brightly like a surging tide. In the entire Endless Sea domain, there were only two Heavenly Alligator clan members, Yijan and E&I. Now that Yijan was in the Flood Dragon clan, the other Heavenly Alligator clan member mentioned by the young man was E&I. No wonder she did not find any trace of E&I when she went to the Immortal Mystic sect. It turned out that he was found by the Bone Clam clan. Damn it, Lowly Sea clan, how dare you betray me? Of course, no matter whether Ling Xiao was telling the truth or not, there was no way to verify it. After all, the last survivor of the Bone Clam clan had died in the hands of the Flood Dragon clan. At this time, Aoyi's eyes flashed with a hint of solemnity. Inexplicably, he seemed to believe that Gu Ao was really Yijan's subordinate. He had heard Yijan mention before that if he wanted to open the ancestral land of the Heavenly Alligator clan from the outside, he must find the clan token of the Heavenly Alligator clan. 10 years ago, Yijan had taken the initiative to contact E&I with a secret method, but did not get any response. However, He faintly sensed that the aura of the heavenly alligator clan master was not in the ancestral land, but in the endless sea domain. According to Ijan's guess, his father most likely left the ancestral land to look for him and then was trapped somewhere. And besides the Violet Emperor, there was probably no one else who could trap him. After listening to Ling Zhao's words, Ao, he had some guesses in his heart. Maybe Gu Ao was secretly recruited by Ijan to find out the whereabouts of the heavenly alligator clan master. There were many rumors in the endless sea domain that Ijan was impersonating the heavenly alligator clan to deceive the world. Others might not know, but Ao, he already knew the experience of this heavenly alligator descendant. The monster core was dug out and the immortal source was taken away. Even if he stood up and revealed his identity now, many people would not believe him. Therefore, finding the clan token and opening the ancestral land of the heavenly alligator clan was the only way for Ijan to prove his identity. At the same time, it was also the fastest way for him to integrate the immortal source and become supreme. In 300 years, Ijan spent more than 250 years to reconstruct the monster core and embark on the path of immortality. But without the immortal source, how could he catch up with Ziyan's footsteps? Ijan was determined to get the immortal source. Of course, Ling Xiao didn't take the initiative to mention this matter because he had nothing better to do. He didn't know where the heavenly alligator's ancestral land was, but Ijan knew. He was the perfect person to open the ancestral land and act as a treasure-seeking mouse. Young Lord Ijan, I'm here to give you a pillow. Wasn't it the duty of a villain? What else do you have to say? Ziyan turned her head and calmly looked at the group of serpent men experts. There was a faint purple lightning flowing around his body, shocking the heavens and the earth. The purple emperor would rather believe a human than me. He shook his head, looking a little lonely. Hearing this, Ling Xiao smiled nonchalantly. How about this, clan leader Ao? You swear on your Dao heart that if Ijan is in the Flood Dragon clan, I will shatter your Dao heart, break your bloodline, and stop you from entering the reincarnation cycle. Then, I will believe you. How about that? A Dao heart oath was completely useless to Ling Xiao, but Ling Xiao didn't care about it at all. However, to ordinary living beings and cultivators, it was extremely solemn and dignified. As expected, Ao Yi's face instantly turned green when he heard Ling Zhao's words. If I say he's not here, then he's not here. How can my dignity be trampled by a human like you? What if I insist on barging in today? Ziyan took a step forward, and the purple lightning around her soared into the sky, almost turning the seawater black. It was extremely evil. A vast pressure descended from the sky. The terrifying aura of a ninth-grade divine emperor made everyone's scalp go numb, and fear instinctively rose in their hearts. Ziyan's name was synonymous with cruelty and tyranny in the entire endless sea domain. No one doubted whether she would dare to slaughter the Flood Dragon clan, because in her eyes, there was no race in the endless sea domain that she couldn't slaughter. If the Purple Emperor doesn't believe me, then the Flood Dragon clan won't stay in the Sea Emperor Palace. Ao gritted his teeth fiercely, and the phantom of a blood dragon gradually appeared behind him. It stood at the top of the sky and looked down at everyone. Obviously, this Flood Dragon clan leader was prepared to fight to the death against Ziyan. All right. Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Ziyan covered her mouth and chuckled. In the next moment, she suddenly took a step forward and turned into the apocalyptic tribulation lightning, heading straight for Ao. Endless thunder rumbled, and when it landed in one's ears, it was like a yellow bell, shocking one's heart. The entire endless sea domain instantly turned dark. Only streaks of strange purple lightning swam like dragons, reaping lives. Ling Xiao and Shi stood side by side in the distance, looking at the beautiful and inexplicably ferocious figure. Their eyes were especially calm. From the beginning, he felt that Ziyan was definitely plotting something. Given her scheming, it was impossible for her to believe Ling Zhao's words so easily. However, she still attacked without hesitation. This proved that she valued the position of the overlord of the endless sea domain very much. She would not allow anyone to threaten her rule. Ijan was her concern. In this way, Ling Xiao had the means to control her. Boom! 3,000 purple lightning bolts descended from the sky, instantly turning several flood dragon humans into ashes. However, just as Ziyin leaped over Ao Yi's head, a stern shout suddenly came from the Crystal Palace in the distance. Stop! Huh? Hearing the voice, Ling Xiao's lips curled up into a smile. It's here. The heavenly mandate was a person who was loyal, righteous, and brave to take responsibility. If he were to watch his loyal servant die for him without doing anything, he would definitely be scolded badly. Therefore, Ling Xiao had set up this trap to lure the sea monarch here, to slaughter the flood dragon humans, and finally lure out the sea domain's heavenly mandate. At this moment, his fate no longer belonged to him or the heavens. It belonged to me. Huh? Ziyin raised her eyebrows slightly and waved her jade-like hand. 1,000-foot-long lightning seal smashed the blood dragon behind Ao Yi into pieces. Puffed. Ao Yi's figure landed and staggered. Blood immediately dripped from the corner of his mouth. At this moment, his eyes were filled with fear, helplessness, and a hint of bitterness. Young Clan Master, why did you come out? Aren't you courting death and implicating my flood dragon humans to be buried with you? However, when he saw the old figure standing beside Ijan, Ao Yi's eyes suddenly bloomed with excitement. Patriarch, but Patriarch, didn't you say that I can't disturb your cultivation unless it's the key to extermination? Why do you have time to come out today? Ziyin, you're still so cruel and domineering. In front of the main hall, a tall figure stood with his hands behind his back. His golden robe shone with a mysterious light, making him look otherworldly. Beside him, an old man with snow-white hair smiled faintly. On his aged face, there was a kind of tranquil indifference that seemed to have transcended the mortal world. 5,000 Providence points, 9th stage God King, primordial bloodline, and heavenly alligator battle body. It was a pretty good leak. Ling Xiao narrowed his eyes and turned to look at the old man beside him. From Ao Yi's reaction, Ling Xiao could sense that the cultivation of the flood dragon human's patriarch had definitely reached an extremely terrifying level. However, in terms of might, it was clearly Ziyin who was a bit stronger. Ijan, you actually dare to appear in front of me. The lightning around Ziyin dissipated. Her golden eyes flickered with indifference. Why wouldn't I dare? You are the one who betrayed me. It's not that I'm heartless. Ijan sighed softly. However, the grief in his tone made the faces of many flood dragon humans turn solemn. There are too many people who are infatuated and blindly love too deeply. For example, you and I used to be. But CK, young Clan Master Ijan, we submitted to you because of the Overlord bloodline in your body. Why are you licking my boots all of a sudden? Chapter 732. Ijan, you impersonated the Heavenly Alligator Clan and deceived the world. If I don't kill you today, I won't be able to appease the hatred in my heart. Ziyin snorted coldly. She had no intention of catching up with him. Waves rose again in the vast sea region. A purple thunder seal appeared out of thin air and pressed down on Ijan without any explanation. The void trembled, and large pieces of the sea collapsed, emitting a ghost-like whimper. This woman is interesting. Ling Xiao had a playful look in his eyes. Usually, villains died because they talked too much, but this Ziyin was decisive and didn't say a single word of nonsense. Although, with her identity, attacking rashly was a loss of the demeanor of an emperor. But who cares? As long as she could kill the enemy, who cared how they died? Zihuang, aren't you too overbearing? The white-haired old man beside Ijan smiled faintly. A layer of fine scales suddenly covered his aged palms. A wisp of demonic aura instantly spread out. Above the void, a formation seemed to appear and completely blocked the thunder seal. Boom! The thunder seal smashed down, setting off huge waves. However, the golden light above the formation suddenly shone brightly. Although there were some fluctuations, it didn't break in the end. The ancient race's foundation was fully revealed at this moment. Of course, the flood dragon person's cultivation was only at the 8th stage. Even with the help of the ancient formation, a wisp of scarlet appeared on his face. Even his figure trembled for a moment. Humph! Is your flood dragon person clan determined to be my enemy? Ziyan's expression was indifferent. She glanced at the ancient formation above her head, but she felt helpless in her heart. Although the flood dragon person clan didn't have a 9th-stage martial emperor, they had 2 8th-stage experts. With Ziyan's attainments and formations, how could she not see how terrifying this protective formation was? Even she felt a little fearful of the power contained in it. After all, she had found Ijan's whereabouts today. Next, she just had to watch over the dragon transformation sea. What can a mere divine king do? The human race has a saying that those who walk different paths should not work together. Zi Huang's cultivation is extremely high, and your ambition is clear. However, my Flood Dragon Person clan has no great ambition. We only want to follow the ancient agreement and follow the heavenly alligator. The old ancestor of the Flood Dragon Person sighed softly, looking rather weathered. It was as if he had no other choice but to make such a decision. All right. Ziyan smiled warmly and didn't say anything else. She turned around and left. Shir, come with me. Yes, master. Shir grabbed Ling Zhao's hand, as if she was afraid he would cause trouble again. She chased after Ziyan. Young master, later on, please don't say that you're from the Holy Church. My master hates the Holy Church to the core. Shir, it reminded via voice transmission. Yet it caused a wisp of a smile to arise on the corners of Ling Zhao's mouth. Isn't this a coincidence? I also hate the Saint sect to the core. AOE and the others only relaxed slightly when the 3 of them disappeared completely. Young lord, why did you come out? Didn't I tell you to hide for now? AOE bowed to the white-haired old man. Greetings, old ancestor AO-sun. I understand her. If she doesn't see me today, she will definitely have thoughts of annihilating the Flood Dragon Person clan. As long as I leave the Dragon Transformation Sea, she won't attack the Flood Dragon Person clan because of this matter. At least, not now. Ijan's expression was gloomy. It had been 300 years. He thought he only had hatred left for this heartless woman. However, he didn't expect that at the moment when he really faced her, he would understand that hatred was because of disappointment, pain, and not being able to love her. Ziyan, if you want the sea region and the immortal origin, I'll give it to you. Why do you have to capture my heart and crush it ruthlessly? Young lord, you want to leave? Ao Sun's old face trembled, and he slowly shook his head. Young lord, you're overthinking. This ancient array of my Flood Dragon Person clan was left behind by our ancestors. Even a 9th-grade divine emperor can't break it easily. As long as you stay in the Crystal Palace, no one can hurt you. Old ancestor. By the way, young lord, that young man from the human clan said that he seems to know the whereabouts of the lord of the crocodile clan. Ao, he seemed to have suddenly thought of something, and his tone was particularly low. What? Ijan was stunned, and it turned into a touch of excitement, although he guessed that his father had most likely been killed by Ziyan. However, the immortal origin and the clan token on Ziyan were his only hope to return to the ancestral land. As long as he could integrate with the immortal origin in the ancestral land, coupled with the awakened primitive bloodline, Ijan was confident that he could catch up with Ziyan's footsteps. Young lord, do you want me to send someone to capture him? Aoye's eyes flashed coldly, but Ijan shook his head slightly. I want to meet him personally. He had already heard about the scene in front of the palace from others. He didn't know anything about the young lord of the Bone Clan, Gu Ao, or the extermination of the Golden Scale Clan. However, that young man from the human clan insisted that he was the one who did it. There must be a conspiracy. Ijan naturally wouldn't take an 18 or 19-year-old human seriously. Although he had wasted 300 years, his demon core had been reconstructed, His battle physique had been awakened, and his cultivation had stepped into the ninth grade divine king realm. Among the younger generation of the sea region, who could be his opponent? However, why did this human try so hard to lure him out? Looking at Ziyan's reaction before leaving, it seemed that she didn't know him. But don't worry, clan master. Even if I meet Ziyan, I am confident that I can escape from her. Ijan took a deep breath. Compared to living an ignoble life, he, the young master of the heavenly alligator clan, had to fight with all his might. Only by taking a gamble could a bicycle turn into a rocket and soar into the sky. No, young lord, you will definitely become a thorn in Ziyan's side. I am afraid that once you walk out of the dragon transformation sea, clan master, you don't have to persuade me. I have made up my mind. Ijan shook his head, and his eyes were filled with vicissitudes. What's the point of living an ignoble life? Forget it. Now that Ziyan has just left, I am afraid she will not expect us to walk out of the dragon transformation sea. That young man from the human clan is obviously not from the Sea Emperor Palace, and Ziyan has always hated the human clan. Young lord, I will go with you. Ao's son pondered for a moment and sighed softly. The heavenly alligator's ancestral land was Ijan's only hope now. He didn't dare to miss the opportunity in front of him. All right, then I will have to trouble you. This time, Ijan didn't refuse. He nodded gently and walked out of the dragon transformation sea with Ao's son. On the other side, Ling Xiao and the other two walked out of the Flood Dragon Clan's territory and stopped in the depths of the sea. If you can't give me a reasonable explanation, you will die very miserably today. Ziyan stood with her hand behind her back, standing in front of Ling Xiao and Sheer. Her tone was extremely indifferent. Master, you can't hurt him. It was Lord Ling Xiao who saved my life time and time again. If it wasn't for him, Buzz. Before Sheer's voice trailed off, Ziyan waved her hand and directly turned into a thunder realm, trapping her in place. Your means could deceive a little girl like Sheer, but in front of me, it is meaningless. Ziyan's golden eyes were calm, and there wasn't the slightest ripple on her pretty face. She just stared straight at Ling Xiao, as if staring at a fun prey. The destruction of the Golden Scale Clan and the Bone Clan didn't make her angry at all. On the contrary, if all of this was arranged by this young man, his temperament was really curious. An 18 or 19-year-old young man dared to scheme against the Flood Dragon Clan and her. Should I say that you are outstanding, or you're courting death? Moreover, what puzzled Ziyan the most was, how did he know about Ijan's whereabouts? I will give you a chance to say a word. I can help you get rid of Ijan. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently, as if he didn't take Ziyan's threat seriously at all. In some ways, Ziyan and he were the same kind of people. How could villains have so many emotions? Everything was based on interests. Chapter 733. Oh, Ziyan raised her eyebrows slightly, and a charming smile suddenly bloomed on her face. Okay, you've moved me, but why should I believe you? Given the current situation, it won't be easy to kill Ijan. If he hides in the Flood Dragon Clan, I'm afraid the Sea Emperor can't do anything. Also, to be honest, I know some divination. Ijan is full of luck. You couldn't kill him before, and you won't be able to kill him in the future. He will eventually step on your corpse and become the new Sea Emperor. Ling Xiao smiled with a calm expression, as if he wasn't afraid of Ziyan's identity at all. In Ziyan's eyes, this attitude caused a trace of surprise to appear in her heart. Where did this young man come from? With such an immortal aura, no one would believe that he was a nobody. However, there weren't many famous human geniuses in the southern border who hadn't been killed by the sea race. Where did he come from? Is that so? Then you're underestimating me too much. Ziyan snorted coldly. Golden light suddenly shone in her eyes, forming a divine realm out of thin air. There seemed to be an ancient dome in it, and it was about to suppress Ling Xiao. To be honest, she felt inexplicably uneasy. Luck had been said since ancient times. However, it was illusory, and no one could see through it. However, When she thought of how Ijan could escape and even return to the immortal path after she dug out his monster core and immortal source, Ziyin felt that something was wrong. In 1 month, I'll bring Ijan's head and hand it to the Sea Emperor. Ling Zhao's face was still calm. Even when the divine realm landed on top of his head, there was no trace of fear in his eyes. Who are you? Why are you so sure that I'll cooperate with you? This time, there was a trace of surprise in Ziyan's eyes. With her reputation in the Sea Realm, even the God Emperor's people wouldn't dare to look at her like this. Could it be that this young man was confident enough to escape from her? Ridiculous. However, the more it was so, the more curious Ziyin was about him. Who I am is not important. What's important is what the Violet Emperor wants. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently. On his handsome face, there was an inexplicable trace of wickedness. Tell me, what do I want? Ziyin waved her hand and removed the divine world. She stared at Ling Xiao with interest. She had never seen such an interesting young man in 300 years. Even 300 years ago, she was the only one who could manipulate others. When had she ever been manipulated like this? However, this kind of manipulation made Ziyin somewhat unable to stop herself. Interesting, but when everything becomes boring, you will still die. 300 years ago, the Violet Emperor seized crocodile battles, demon core, and immortal origin. With his unparalleled battle prowess, he swept through the sea clans. After 100 years of war, he finally unified this sea region. Ling Zhao's gaze was warm, and there was a bit of appreciation in his gaze as he looked at Ziyin. What the F***CK? Why do I suddenly feel that this young man is a rank 9 divine emperor, and I am merely a plaything in his eyes? This feeling came inexplicably. However, the more Ziyin looked at Ling Xiao, the more she found that she could not see through him. This young man was clearly overflowing with immortal charm and natural Tao intent. However, when he spoke, there was more or less wickedness in his words. However, if the Sea Monarch wants to firmly sit on the throne of the sea region, he should not be so eager for instant success and slaughter the masses. This is more like a temporary suppression and not a long-term plan. Thus, I guess that what the Violet Emperor cares about is not the sea region, but something else. Oh, I am already the supreme ruler of this world. I possess mountains and rivers spanning tens of thousands of miles. What else could I be plotting? Ziyin's golden eyes trembled slightly. There seemed to be a demonic figure covering the sky. In an instant, Ling Xiao seemed to see a great, lightning, demonic figure towering over the world, overlooking all living things. It was emitting an ancient and tyrannical aura. Even though this woman was extremely beautiful, Ling Xiao knew that her nature was still extremely savage. Playing with her was wrong. Playing with her was also wrong. In short, one had to be careful when playing with fire. What the Violet Emperor is plotting has nothing to do with me. However, I know that once Ijan dies, the sea races led by the Flood Dragon humans will lose all hope. Without hope, what can he use to fight you? Ling Xiao did not mind. If Ziyin really had a way to destroy the Flood Dragon humans, she would not have returned to defeat today. Furthermore, according to Folded Shadows information, 3 of the 10 royal races of the sea region were led by the Flood Dragon humans. In other words, it was impossible for Ziyin to borrow the help of the other sea races to attack the Flood Dragon humans. Now, the Heavenly Crocodile's successor had appeared. Furthermore, he had the help of the Flood Dragon humans. More sea races would probably join Ijan's side. Given that, Ziyin's position would be in danger. Overly cruel methods would only garner fear and less respect. Ha ha, ha ha ha. After talking for so long, you still have not told me your name. Ziyin smiled. Her eyes were bewitching, completely different from the cold arrogance from earlier. His voice was a little familiar, but his appearance was extremely unfamiliar. Suddenly, Ziyin seemed to have thought of a person. Only you would have such guts, right? The saint of the sacred sect? Ling Xiao. Lord Ling Xiao, where did you come from? You're helping me so deliberately. It can't be out of kindness, right? Ziyin nodded. She reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. It was a simple action, but it was filled with an irresistible temptation. She was peerless in her generation, making one feel pity for her. However, Ling Zhao's expression did not change in the slightest in front of this sea race beauty. This made Zi Yin feel even more surprised, unmoved by force or persuasion. Flawless? Of course, I am helping the Violet Emperor because I have a motive. Ling Xiao smiled calmly. I will help the Violet Emperor kill Yi Zhan and protect the Violet Emperor's position in the sea race. The Violet Emperor will help me keep one person alive. Who? For now, the Violet Emperor does not need to know. However, if the Violet Emperor agrees, you can help me do another thing first. Ling Xiao did not say it clearly. After all, killing the divine envoy was too shocking. Given Ziyan's temperament, she might not dare to agree immediately. Haha, you're a good schemer. You help me kill one person, but I have to help you do two things? No matter how I look at it, it seems that I am at a disadvantage. Ziyan smiled faintly. She suddenly felt a sense of loss in her heart. After so many years, this was the first time she had some interest in a man. Unfortunately, he was a human and a young man. No matter how talented he was and how terrifying his temperament was, he could not become someone she could rely on. In other words, if he was born 300 years earlier, perhaps Zi Yin would seriously consider and get to know him better. Maybe the thing I want the Violet Emperor to do is also what the Violet Emperor has been plotting all along. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He already knew from Shearer that the Ocean Emperor hated the sacred sect to the core. However, according to Ling Zhao's knowledge, the sacred sect had never suppressed the sea region in the past 300 years. So, where did this hatred come from? Old hatred? As he thought of this, Ling Xiao took out a sound transmission talisman from his ring. The Violet Emperor has a commander called Shi under him, right? That's right. Ziyan's beautiful eyes narrowed slightly, but she did not deny it. With Ling Zhao's current methods, he would have already noticed Shi following him. In that case, this young man was really luring her into a trap? Interesting, it was getting more and more interesting. I have always been the one scheming against others. I did not expect that today I would be schemed against by a young man. Of course, Ziyan did not feel threatened at all from the beginning to the end. Thousands of schemes were meaningless in the face of absolute strength. She was a 9th-grade divine emperor, the ruler of the world. How could she be afraid of an 18-year-old young man? She just wanted to know what Ling Xiao was plotting. Also, what did he mean by what he was plotting was also what she was plotting? With his age and experience, how could he know how vast the world was? All the laws in the world were illusory. Only karma was eternal. Ocean Emperor, please ask this commander to help me kill a few people. Don't worry, they're all small fries. Ling Xiao smiled and took out a piece of golden paper from his bosom. Dozens of names were written on it with cinnabar. Oh, remember to ask Commander Shi to kill them according to the order I wrote. Chapter 734. According to the order, Ziyan frowned. She instinctively felt that there was a conspiracy going on. However, when she looked at the names on the golden paper, her eyes flickered with surprise. Not only were there 10 names on the paper, but there were also their clans and sea regions. However, the 10 of them seemed to be unrelated and were scattered in different corners of the sea region. How did they offend Ling Xiao? Aha, Zi Huang, you don't have to worry. I have my reasons for doing this. Ling Xiao smiled. He had carefully selected these 10 people, and they were scattered in different parts of the sea region. There was a distance of 10,000 miles between the two of them. In this way, although the snake killed people without any pattern, it was enough to keep Divine Envoy Duga busy for a while. Even so, in the end, the first Divine Envoy found the Sea Tribe expert and killed him. It didn't affect Ling Xiao at all. F*CK. I was ordered by the Sea Emperor to eliminate the traitors of the Sea Tribe. Why did you kill me? As for how to get the first Divine Envoy to notice Commander Snake, take a guess. What are you trying to do? Vaguely, Ziyan felt that the young man in front of her seemed to be setting up a big scheme. However, he had grasped her biggest weakness, making it impossible for her to break free. She didn't even dare to take the slightest risk. Ziyin knew about the existence of the heavenly alligator ancestral land. Over the years, she had set up countless traps at the entrance of the ancestral land because she was worried that Ijan would return. Now that the latter had reappeared, he had used some unknown method to rebuild his beast core. He would definitely find a way to return to the ancestral land next. She had learned from Eni that there were still former members of the heavenly alligator tribe in the ancestral land. Once these people walked out of the ancestral land, the sea region would return to the heavenly alligator tribe. Ziyan's 300 years of planning would be completely ruined. Of course, no matter how scheming Ziyan was, she didn't think of two things. First, Dugi Yunjin didn't come to the sea region to suppress the sea tribe, but to find a monster who comprehended the extreme iced owl law. Second, to open the ancestral land of the heavenly alligator tribe, one must have the immortal source and the heavenly alligator tribe token. Therefore, in this game, she was just a smart chess piece. She was still at Ling Zhao's mercy. The Sea Emperor didn't tell me his secret either, did he? As long as what I do is beneficial to the Ocean Emperor, why should you care about who lives and who dies? Ling Zhao's expression was indifferent, and his eyes seemed to be filled with killing intent. In the end, Ziyin lightly nodded. All right, I'll give you a month. After a month, if you can't bring back Crocodile Jean's head, no matter where you hide, I'll personally crush you to death. With her temperament, not to mention a few irrelevant people, even if Shi died, as long as it could help her obtain some benefits, it would be worth it. She simply didn't like the feeling of not being able to see through him. All right, but in the meantime, no matter what I do, I hope the Ocean Emperor won't interfere. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently and turned his head to look at the young girl trapped in the Thunderworld. Oh, no matter who you are, I advise you not to have any ideas about Shi. Otherwise, you will still die a miserable death. Ha! It seems that the Ocean Emperor truly loves Shi. Fine, then let her follow the Ocean Emperor and cultivate well. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently and took a step forward, instantly disappearing on the spot. Although there was no reason not to harvest leeks, it was obvious that the current Shi was not mature enough. If he raised her by Ziyan's side, no matter what the latter's purpose was, she would work hard to help her awaken her bloodline and improve her cultivation. Otherwise, she would lose her value. When the time comes, I'll fatten her up and eat her. Won't you be happy? It wasn't until Ling Zhao's figure was far away that the smile on Ziyan's face completely froze. She lowered her head and looked at the 10 names in her hand, seemingly lost in thought. But in the end, Ziyan couldn't figure out what the young man's intention was, so she simply stopped thinking about it. After all, Ziyan had already left a mark on his body. No matter where he hid, he couldn't escape death. The most important thing now was to kill Crocodile Jean and stabilize the sea. Only then could she borrow the power of the sea to fulfill her wish. Calculating the time, there was only half a year left until the last chance. Shi, Empress, a figure descended from the sky and bowed respectfully to Ziyan. Kill them one by one according to the names on this. Remember, don't expose your whereabouts and don't let anyone know that it was my Sea Emperor Palace who did it. Ziyan casually handed the golden paper to Shi, her eyes returning to their usual coldness. At this moment, she had already decided that no matter what Ling Xiao was plotting, as long as he killed Crocodile Jean in a month, Ziyin would kill him without hesitation. Even if you're full of schemes, what can you do to me if I don't play with you? What agreement? What promise? It's just an obstacle on the path to immortality. If I kill you, no one will know that we had an agreement. Of course, before that, she would still cooperate with Ling Xiao and put on a good show. What Shi had done did not affect her too much. Ling Xiao, if you want to blame someone, blame yourself for scheming against the wrong person. Ziyin coldly snorted, and Shi turned into an afterimage and disappeared. The thunder world shattered, and Shi looked at Ziyin blankly. In the next moment, her beautiful eyes suddenly widened. What did you do to Lord Ling Xiao? Master, Where is young master? Shearer, there are some people that you are destined to be unable to stand side by side with. Forget it early. It might not be a bad thing for you. Ziyan's expression was calm, and even her tone was extremely indifferent. In this world, there was no one who was clean when it came to scheming. Ling Xiao had set up layers upon layers to lure her here. If someone said that the destruction of the Golden Scale clan had nothing to do with him, Ziyan naturally wouldn't believe it. Of course, without evidence and certainty, she wouldn't expose Ling Xiao's hypocrisy. After all, they were all the same. Benefits were the foundation of cooperation. You killed him? Sure, covered her mouth with her hand, panic in her eyes. You actually killed him? Don't worry, after all, he is your savior. I'll let him leave, but you don't have to see each other in the future. Ziyan gave her a deep look, then walked towards the depths of the sea. Ling Xiao's guess was correct. From a moment Ziyan saw, sure, she had seen through the girl's bloodline. Even in the Shengzhou continent, the bloodline of a true dragon could be said to be miraculous. Most importantly, according to what Ziyan knew, since ancient times, the Shengzhou continent had only given birth to one true dragon. She didn't know whether she was that person's child, but it didn't stop her from giving a try. Master, I'll only say it once. If you don't listen, I'll definitely kill him the next time I see him. This young man's thoughts were just too deep, like an abyss in the sea of stars, making others fearful for no reason. Even Ziyan was inexplicably wary of him. She was an extremely important part of her grand plan. Ling Xiao had to die, but before that, Ziyan didn't dare to take the risk of letting Shearer get too close to him. Master, Shearer clenched her hands, a trace of sorrow between her brows. She understood her master. If she said she was going to kill him, she definitely wouldn't show any mercy. Who would have thought that the separation just now would be forever? Young master, in the end, is she a wishful thinking? Chapter 735. The 5,000 kilometers of sea region sparkled with light. Aside from the stench, there was also a salty smell. That was right. This was the smell of the sea. At this moment, on a desolate island in the depths of the sea region, Ling Xiao calmly looked at the figure kneeling on the ground before him. A sinister glint flashed in his eyes. Xiong Huan stood quietly beside Xiao Chun. He did not give off any aura at all. However, for some reason, he gave off a stifling feeling. This was especially so for his mountain-like figure, which vaguely gave off a ferocious aura. Commander Shi, have you thought it through? The person kneeling before Xiao Chun was Shi, whom the Sea Monarch had sent out to kill people for Ling Xiao. The Iced Owl Law, a rank 6 God Emperor, the perfect bait. The moment Ling Xiao handed the golden paper with the names of the sea region experts to Ziyan, he had already sent Xiong Huan, Xing Shun, and the others to guard the sea region where the first person on the list was. Naturally, the goal was to invite this commander, Shi, over for a chat. No matter how strict the plan was, there would always be flaws. This was especially so for Dugi Yunjin and Ziyan, who were scheming people. One had to be even more careful when playing with them. If Xiao Chun wanted this plan to be perfect, he had to turn all the uncontrollable risks into controllable ones. For example, Shi. Although Shi's cultivation was strong, it was far from enough to make Ling Xiao fear him. As long as Xiao Chun controlled Shi, this plan would be perfect. Given Ziyan's temperament, Ling Xiao naturally did not believe that she would keep her promise. On the contrary, villains were always ruthless and merciless. Once they obtained benefits, they could kill anyone. However, as long as Ling Xiao could continuously provide her with benefits, this sea region overlord would be the sharpest blade in his hand. I helped you kill Zhan, but the first divine envoy seems to be suspicious of you. Zi Huang, why don't we work together and kill him? Their plan was well-connected and flawless. Or rather, even if Ziyan guessed Ling Xiao's identity and intentions, given the situation, she had no other choice. Ling Xiao, the Go Master, will not play. When this world becomes more and more vast, only then will you understand what kind of price one has to pay for being arrogant and brainless. Not to mention, he was a villain without any luck. advancing step by step, being ruthless and resolute, treating all living beings as chess pieces and killing each other. Only then would one have a chance to reach the pinnacle. In your dreams, if you dare to touch me, the Violet Emperor will not let you off. She sees eyes widened, flickering with scarlet light. He really didn't expect that this young man who was still chatting happily with the Purple Emperor just a second ago would capture him in the blink of an eye. Oh, don't tell me he didn't think of that. Even the Violet Emperor had probably never imagined that Ling Zhao's intentions would actually be so sinister. Given the Purple Emperor's personality, he still had to wait until the cooperation was over before he made a move on Ling Zhao. Who would have thought that the latter would actually, turn hostile and merciless? Oh, is that so? Ling Zhao shook his head and chuckled, looking at the strand of hair in his hand. He could sense an unfamiliar soul power from this strand of hair. Clearly, this was the soul imprint Zi Yan had left on him. Commander Shi, aren't you overestimating your position in the Violet Emperor's heart too much? From the moment she agreed to my request, you were already a chess piece that could be discarded. You're talking nonsense. Don't even think about instigating the relationship between us. Shi Xi's face turned pale, and he swallowed hard. However, given his understanding of Zi Yan, he believed Ling Zhao's words. But what can I do? At worst, I'll just die today. But if I betray Zi Yan, I feel like I'll rather die than live. Haha, Commander Shi, isn't it the same no matter who you submit to? Anyway, a minor character like you can't become the main character of this world. Isn't it better to be alive? Ling Zhao smiled indifferently, but a hint of hesitation flashed across Shi Xi's eyes. Forget it. Since Commander Shi is so loyal, I'll fulfill your wish. Xiong Huan, break all the bones in his body so that others won't recognize him as Commander Shi. Then, feed him some medicinal pills to help him regrow his broken bones. Then, break them again. After saying that, Ling Zhao finally stopped hesitating and walked away. IF*CK? Shi Xi was stunned. Why is it so sudden? Shouldn't you say a few more bad things about Zi Yan and persuade me? Then, I'll reluctantly agree to your request so that I won't appear to be so rebellious. Why do you want to kill me? It seems like I'll rather die than live right now. Wait, Master, I submit. Shi Xi scrambled to kneel in front of Ling Zhao. There was no longer any trace of the cold arrogance on his face. He had seen Xiong Huan's methods. This man who looked fierce and terrifying on the outside was actually even fiercer than his appearance. Even though Shi Xi had comprehended the laws of Tao, he was still unable to withstand the might of his fist. Falling into his hands, Shi Xi had a premonition that it would be even worse than death. This young man was right. Submitting to anyone is not the same no matter who you submit to. This sea is not my home. Being able to live is truly wonderful. It's too late. Ling Zhao shook his head, and a playful look appeared in his eyes. This person never knows when to be satisfied and likes to bargain. However, I, Ling Zhao, am a straightforward person. Contentment brings joy. Discontentment will lead to death. No, Master, please give me another chance. I will do anything you ask me to. Shi Xi cried out sorrowfully. However, Ling Zhao raised his eyebrows. Anything? Yes. Then open up your divine soul. What is control? Using your mouth to express your loyalty? The destined person is recognized and submitted by the system, or planted with a soul imprint. In this situation, Shi Xi played a crucial role. Although he was an inconspicuous chess piece, he was used to link up the entire situation. He was the Ocean Emperor's personal guard, a loyal servant, and someone who had comprehended the laws of ice. If he colluded with the demons in the end, how do you think the first divine envoy would react? What? Which demon? Of course, it would be the one who had the protection of an expert and was determined to prove the name of the demon. As for Shi Xi, if I said that he was the bait that the Ocean Emperor set to hide Yi Qingchan's whereabouts, do you think the divine envoy would believe me? What a familiar scene. Who would have thought that after Lord Ye's rebirth, she would actually collude with the demons again? Open up your divine soul. My lord, our Ocean Emperor Palace doesn't have such a rule. No, my lord, you don't know that the Purple Emperor's divine soul is very powerful, and she is proficient in the array Tao. If you did something to my soul sea, you won't be able to escape her eyes. Shi spoke righteously. His words were full of consideration for Ling Xiao. Young master, don't do that. Be careful that the Ocean Emperor doesn't kill you. Oh, don't worry. You will never see her again. Ling Xiao's expression was gentle, but his words sent chills down Shi's spine. Holy shit. Heartless. Did Ling Xiao mean that he planned to kill the Ocean Emperor and dominate the sea region? Of course. Shi seemed to have neglected a problem. Killing him was much easier than killing the Ocean Emperor. Yes, my lord, since you are so ambitious, Shi will definitely follow you. In the end, under Ling Xiao's slightly surprised gaze, Shi's expression suddenly turned serious. Then he opened up his soul sea and allowed Ling Xiao to plant a soul imprint on him. Go, according to their names, according to their order, use the Ice Dao law to freeze them all into ice sculptures. As soon as he finished speaking, Ling Xiao gently waved his hand and dismissed Shi. Suddenly, there was a buzzing sound between heaven and earth. Immediately after, the figure of layered shadow descended from the sky and landed in front of Ling Xiao. My lord, we have completed the task that you have entrusted us with. Now, with the dark guards leading the way, we have trapped Feng Ruge in a barren mountain on the island, the dark guards reported. Well done. Inform the shadow guards to lead the way. Seal the mountain and burn it with fire. It will take 49 days to completely kill the heavenly poison evil body. A sinister look flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes, but the corners of his mouth curled up into a gentle smile. Rouge, do you miss me now? Chapter 736. Rhythm? My lord. Rhythm. How do I lead? Folded Shadow was puzzled. She didn't quite understand what rhythm was. Oh, rhythm. It's a kind of provocative speech with magical power. Remember, when you lead the rhythm, you must be half true and half false. Show that you understand this matter very well. You must have the right emotions so that many people will agree with you. Ling Xiao explained, but the confusion on Folded Shadow's face deepened. Okay, you don't have to understand. Just do as I say. Yes, my lord. Just as Folded Shadow was about to leave, Ling Xiao suddenly handed her the strand of hair with the Sea Emperor's mark. Find a secret guard. Take the strand of hair and run around the sea area. Don't stop for a moment. Yes, my lord. Although Folded Shadow was puzzled, she didn't dare to ask and disappeared instantly. With Ziyan's temperament, it was impossible for her not to notice the strangeness of Ling Xiao's trace. But even if she caught the secret guard, she wouldn't dare to make things difficult for Ling Xiao. After all, leaving a mark wasn't something to be proud of. It's time to meet the descendant of the heavenly crocodile. Ling Xiao looked into the distance. With Phoenix Rouge's luck, she wouldn't die in a short time. Let her feel despair first, then give her hope. Only then could she seriously feel how great I, Ling Xiao, am. All of you leave. Ling Xiao reached out and held the Heavenly Crocodile Clan token in his hand. From Eni's words, he knew that this token was not only the token of the Heavenly Crocodile Clan, but also contained a strand of Yijan's soul consciousness. In other words, this token was not only Yijan's soul token, but also a mark that could make Yijan feel his existence. The reason why he lured the Sea Emperor here today was not only to control her with the help of the Flood Dragon human clan, but also to put pressure on Yijan. Since your identity is exposed, do you still want to continue to grow? Is it possible? Charge for me. In the ancestral land, there was the immortal source in the Heavenly Crocodile Clan. As long as Yijan could return, he would definitely soar to the top. However, it just so happened that he had neither the clan medallion nor the immortal origin in his possession. Wanting to snatch the immortal origin from Ziyan was undoubtedly a fool's dream. The only hope was Eni. Now Ling Xiao deliberately spread the news. saying that he saw the news of another heavenly alligator clan member from Gu Ao's memory. If Ijan wanted revenge, he would never miss such an opportunity. The bone race was Zi Yan's loyal servant. It was reasonable for them to know some of the sea monarch's secrets. Buzz. As the spiritual light in Ling Zhao's hand shone brightly, it poured into the golden scale. The heavenly alligator clan token shone brightly. Faintly, a wisp of divine soul rippled out from within and disappeared in the blink of an eye. After doing all this, Ling Xiao sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes to cultivate. System. After a long silence, Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness heard a low and deep voice cursing. I thought I heard wrong. It's already over 300 chapters, and you finally remember that you still have a system? Beep beep. Owner. Ling Xiao. Identity. Successor of the Ling people. Sky Demon Palace Master. Divine Body. Sky Demon True Body. Third Transformation. Forbidden Physique. Cultivation. 4th grade Divine King. Divine Soul. 8th grade Divine Emperor. Spiritual Treasures. Immemorial Demonic Blade. Grade Unknown. 8 Desolation Glazed Demon. Subduing Pagoda. Divine Treasure. Imperial Star Robe. High-grade Tao Artifact. Bloodthirsty Ghost Pearl. Grade Unknown. Ancient Desolate Heaven Tablet. Divine Treasure. Cultivation Techniques. Myriad Demonic Arts. Sky Demon Sutra. Sky Demon True Body. Talent. Eye of Nirvana. Talent. Sky Demon Eyes. Blood Moon Forbidden Region. Ancient Soul Assimilation Technique. Forbidden Technique. Mysterious Heaven Ancient Scripture. Dark Inyama Scripture. Upper World Classic. Great Desolate Heaven Imprisoning Seal. Soul Skill. Blazing Scripture. Immemorial Imperial Flames. Tao Laws. Lightning Perfection. Sword Perfection. Wind Perfection. Water Perfection. Flame Perfection. Origin Perfection. Darkness Perfection. Slaughter Perfection. Divine Wood Perfection. Blade Perfection. Holy Word Perfection. Aged Metal Perfection. Earth Comprehension. Chaos. Comprehension. Original Creation. Great Tao of Annihilation. 9 Taos comprehended. 29 Taos flourished. 49 Taos completed. 69 Taos perfected. 99 Taos completed. Spiritual Beast. Immemorial Demonic Dragon. 6th grade Divine Overlord. Destiny Body. Forging Progress. 22%. Luck. 12,000. Villain Points. 68,000. Conversion of luck into destiny points. Ling Xiao said indifferently. On the system interface, the foot of a small figure suddenly turned into a bright gold color. Beep. Congratulations to the host for forging 23% of destiny points. Villain points, Shintian Ancient Scripture, add a point. Buzz. Following a buzzing sound, 2 celestial figures appeared above Ling Xiao's head. One of them was extremely solid. It was the Immaculate Tao Body. The other one was still illusory, but the Taoist rhyme was also beginning to show its mysteriousness. At the same time, Ling Xiao's body seemed to tremble for a moment before calming down. 5th grade Divine King. Time passed slowly until the sun set in the west and the moon shone brightly. There was a slight ripple in the void above the deserted island. Then, a ferocious giant claw surrounded by endless demonic chi suddenly tore through the clouds and descended from the sky, pressing down on Ling Xiao's head. Thousands of miles of sky crumbled in an instant. As the Taoist runes flickered, a demonic figure appeared in the sky. It's coming. Ling Xiao's eyes narrowed slightly, but the corner of his mouth lifted into a smile. Then, above his head, the divine tree soared into the sky like a pillar that supported the sky, trying to resist the demonic claw. However, Ling Xiao's cultivation was only at the 1st grade Divine King realm after all. The power of the demonic claw was comparable to an 8th grade Divine Emperor. In just a moment, the divine tree shattered, turning into sawdust that fell from the sky. Boom! In the end, the claw fell and smashed half of the deserted island into powder. Waves rose and dust filled the air. A cold voice suddenly came from within. "Young Master Ijan, if you are so rude, I'm afraid you won't be able to enter the ancestral land." Just a moment ago, Ling Xiao directly entered the realm and dodged the monstrous attack. According to Ling Xiao's thoughts, the one who attacked must be the great ancestor of the flood dragon person beside Ijan that day. Although the demonic claw carried an unparalleled power, it was slightly hesitant. It was most likely just a test to confirm whether Ling Xiao was protected by any experts. Heaven and earth were silent, and the clouds were surging. Ao Sun's eyes narrowed slightly, and there was a touch of surprise in his vicissitudes of life. Even with his cultivation, he couldn't see clearly how the young man dodged his attack. "Hee, how should I address you, young master?" Suddenly, the void fluctuated, and Ao Sun stepped out of the sky. However, the vigilance in his eyes didn't dissipate at all. "Ling Xiao." Ling Xiao raised his head and looked calmly at the great ancestor of the flood dragon person in front of him with a gentle smile. "Don't be nervous, great ancestor. If the Ocean Emperor was here, you would be a dead man now. You." Chapter 737. Lord Ling Xiao, how arrogant of you. Ao Sun snorted. Demonic aura surged around him. He stretched out his hand and turned into a flood dragon shadow, shattering the blue sky. Layers of demonic light bloomed in the sky. It was as if a flood dragon was smashing the void and clawing down. "Patriarch, I advise you not to be rash. Otherwise, the fluctuations here will spread and attract unnecessary trouble. Wouldn't that be a loss?" Ling Xiao stood with his hands behind his back, looking extremely calm. This flood dragon human patriarch was indeed cautious. After probing again and again, it seemed that he was still wary of the Zihuan. "Patriarch." Right at this moment, the figure of a young man slowly appeared behind Ao Sun and patted him on the shoulder. "Young lord, leave it to me. I think Lord Ling Xiao must have something to say, since he specially came here." Ijan looked down at Ling Xiao from above, his eyes shining with ancient light. Although this young lord of the heavenly alligator clan looked like a young man, but Ling Xiao knew that he was a figure from 1,000 years ago. Moreover, to be able to reconstruct his demon core and return to the immortal path, Ijan's temperament was already terrifying enough. A ninth-stage divine king with a primordial bloodline. He just didn't know how many slashes such a peerless genius could withstand. "Do you have my heavenly alligator clan token?" Just now, when Ijan and Ao Sun quietly walked out of the ancient array of the flood dragon humans, he felt a fluctuation from the soul consciousness. This fluctuation could only be caused by the strand of soul consciousness he had left in the clan medallion. Until now, Ijan still didn't know why the heavenly alligator clan token didn't fall into Ziyan's hands, but appeared in the hands of a human youth. But he couldn't be wrong. That's right. Ling Xiao's eyes were clear as he took out the golden scale from his universe ring. "Clan token." Ijan's body trembled, and he looked particularly excited. Now, if he wanted to avenge the humiliation and restore the glory of the heavenly alligator clan, he could only return to the ancestral land and inherit the immortal origin. Only then would he have the chance to chase after Ziyan's footsteps until the day he could stand in front of her and ask if she regretted it. After all, Ijan didn't care who was the master of this sea region. It was just that he was unable to let go of the hatred in his heart. Or perhaps it was better to say that he was unable to let go of Ziyan's betrayal. "Who are you? Why is my clan's holy badge in your hands?" Iwar took a deep breath, and his expression gradually calmed down. Based on his understanding of his father, it was absolutely impossible for him to hand over the token so easily. Moreover, his father's soul sea contained the divine seal that was personally passed down by the heavenly crocodile ancestor. This seal was the symbol of the heavenly alligator clan master. In other words, no one could easily pry open his father's soul sea and search his soul. "Look again, what is this?" Ling Xiao chuckled. The immortal origin in his Dan sea gave off a clear radiance. The spiritual aura of the entire desolate island gathered around Ling Xiao. The moment Ijan felt the immortal source, his eyes widened instantly. You? Who are you? Why do you have the immortal origin and the clan token? Ijan's eyes widened, and his mind raced. If he killed this young man, would he not only be able to return to his ancestral land, but also obtain an additional immortal origin? At this point, you still can't recognize who I am. Ling Xiao sneered, and his tone contained an unquestionable majesty. A wisp of divine soul power instantly surged between heaven and earth, crushing the wind and clouds within 10,000 miles into nothingness. Ao, Sun, and Ijan's expressions turned dull almost instantly, especially when they felt the terror of the soul power. Their eyes flashed with deep fear. You are my father. At this moment, Ijan suddenly thought of something. The clan token, the immortal origin, and the soul power that was almost comparable to a ninth-stage divine emperor. As everyone knew, this powerhouse's realm would inevitably fall when he was reborn or possessed, but the divine soul level might be intact. This was the commonly known innate full soul power. It was also a common cheat, and these three coincidentally appeared in the same person, which made Ijan think of many things. Could it be that this young man was possessed by his father? Who are you calling your father? I don't have a cheap son like you. Ling Xiao casually threw the Golden Scale Clan token into Ijan's hand. I came to the Sea region to fulfill a promise. I have given you the clan token, and the rest is up to you. What? Promise? Could it be you have met my father? Sir, please wait. Do you know where my father is now? Ijan took a step forward and instantly appeared in front of Ling Xiao, his eyes filled with excitement. Could it be that he guessed wrong? His father was not trapped by Ziyin. Ini's body and soul have been shattered. When I met him, he only had a wisp of remnant soul left. He gave me this immortal origin and asked me to promise him one thing. Ling Xiao looked indifferent, as if he had no interest in the heavenly crocodile's ancestral land. With the power he had in his hands, it was not impossible to kill the clan master of the Flood Dragon clan. However, if he wanted to kill a peak grade 8 Emperor God, he would definitely have to pay a price. What's more, Ijan was the descendant of the heavenly crocodile. If he brought him into the ancestral land, it would definitely save him a lot of trouble. After all, there were still remnants of the heavenly crocodile tribe in this ancestral land. Who knew if there were any ninth-grade experts among them? What? Who killed my father? How would I know? I have given you the clan token. I have fulfilled my promise. Goodbye. Ling Xiao turned around to leave, but he saw Ao, Sun descending from the sky and blocking his way. Young man, since you were entrusted by the old clan master, why did you lead Zi Huang to come and slaughter my Flood Dragon clan? At this time, there was a trace of strong vigilance in his eyes. With his experience, he could easily feel a hint of conspiracy in this. However, if it was a conspiracy, why would this young man return the clan token to Ijan so easily? Wouldn't it be more appropriate to use this as bait? How would I know if your Flood Dragon clan submitted to young Master Ijan or wanted to control him? Ling Zhao's eyes were calm. He did not feel the slightest bit nervous because of Ao Sun's suspicion. So, you appeared as a villain. Not only can you test the Flood Dragon clan, but you can also relax Zi Huang's vigilance? Ijan suddenly understood. He nodded gently and finally bowed to Ling Xiao. Young master, wise. Elder Ao, get out of the way. Beep, the destined son of destiny admires the villain and is dissatisfied with the servant. Congratulations to the host for plundering 500 luck points and 5,000 villain points. It's starting now. Ling Xiao sneered in his heart, but there was a touch of playfulness in his eyes. This was the difference between the destined son of destiny and the villain. The destined son of destiny had a pure character and knew how to repay kindness. Even if he clearly needed the immortal source to open the ancestral land, he would never kill the innocent and repay kindness with ingratitude. Otherwise, wouldn't his character be ruined? Even if he had greed in his heart, he would not show it too much on the surface. He would only use his emotions to influence and reason. If it were Ling Xiao, he would not care if he was here for a hammer. He would just snatch the immortal source and be done with it. Why should he involve too much karma? The path to immortality was vast, and every step was dangerous. Mortals knew that every man for himself, and the heavens and earth would destroy him, let alone cultivators. Speaking of innocence, how many of those who took this path were truly innocent? They fought against heaven and earth and against all living beings. In the end, which one of them did not have thousands of corpses under their feet and a sea of blood floating? Did you dare to say that they all deserved to die? Chapter 738. Young Lord. This person is very scheming and is involved with the Sea King. After all, Ao Sun had lived for hundreds of years. He had a complicated mind and never trusted others easily. What's more, looking at Ling Xiao's deep and vast black eyes at this time, he always felt that this young man seemed to be hiding a great secret under his gentle appearance. Scheming against the Sea King? This required not only courage, but also extremely scheming and means. How could there be a simple person who was scheming? Oh, old ancestor Ao Sun, you mean? I should take out the clan token and look for young Lord Ijan all over the sea region? Wouldn't this show that I'm simple-minded? Ling Xiao sneered with anger between his brows. If I do this, I'm afraid I won't have the chance to see young Lord Ijan at all, right? Moreover, your clan has always been at odds with the Sea King. Are you sure there are no spies of the Purple Emperor in the Dragon Transformation Sea? Old ancestor, what is your intention? Could it be that you don't want young Lord Ijan to take back the clan token and restore the glory of Heavenly Crocodile? Or you just want young Lord Ijan to stay in the clan and become a token of your clan in the sea region? Let me guess. This time, when young Lord Ijan wanted to come out to look for the clan token, the clan must have tried their best to stop him. If I didn't have a space secret treasure with me just now, I'm afraid I would have been killed by you. You, presumptuous. How could I? Ao Sun's face turned cold. He didn't know how to refute at this time. Ijan's identity was really a kind of faith and a totem for the sea region. With him in charge of the clans in the sea region would feel a sense of belonging. This was an indisputable fact. However, that wasn't what he thought at all. Shut up. Ijan frowned slightly, shouted coldly, and pointed at Ling Xiao. Old ancestor Ao Sun, you also know that the Purple Emperor's means are cruel. He would rather kill the wrong person than let them go. In order to fulfill his promise to my father, Lord Ling Xiao did not hesitate to go deep into the sea region with his human body and infiltrate the enemy just to hand over the clan token to me. How righteous is this act? Originally, he still had some concerns in his heart. However, at this time, after hearing Ling Xiao's question, he figured many things out. That's right. Given Zi Yan's scheming, if this young master of the human race revealed the slightest intention of looking for her, it would be difficult for him to escape death. Only when the two of them were on opposite sides would they have a chance to meet. It is said that Lord Ling Xiao slaughtered the bone race. Who is the bone race? Xian's loyal servant. What's wrong? He killed a few flood dragon men to test your loyalty, and you hate him now? Young master, ancestor. You said it yourself that you're willing to sacrifice everything for the Heavenly Alligator Clan. Ijan's face was inexplicably gloomy. Everything that Ao Sun had done was for the Heavenly Alligator Tribe. However, after Ling Xiao's analysis, Ijan suddenly felt that he was too naive. Although the flood dragon humanoid race was the Heavenly Alligator race's slave race, they had been freed from slavery for 1,000 years. Now that he had suddenly appeared in the world, it was as if this clan had returned from a free status to a slave status. If the Heavenly Alligator Tribe was at its peak, it would be an honor. But now, he was only a god king, and Ziyin had stolen his Yao core and immortal origin. No matter how one looked at it, he was trash. Then, what else was the Flood Dragon Man plotting? Ijan was not stupid. Compared to the current Son of Destiny, his vision and experience were even more far-reaching. During the Great War of Immortals and Demons, The two clans fought for nothing more than to be the master of heaven and earth, on the path to immortality, who didn't value cultivation. So, this Ao Sun was not right. Beep. The son of destiny has begun to imagine. His imagination is unrestrained and extremely magnificent. He is completely on guard against the slave clans. Congratulations to the host for plundering 500 luck points and 5,000 villain points. Young master, our clan's loyalty can be witnessed by the sun and moon. You must not. All right, I know ancestors' loyalty, but the heavenly alligator's ancestral land is the key to whether I can return to the top of the world. Lord Ling Xiao has now returned my clan's token. Ancestor, let go of the grudge in your heart. I will personally erect a monument for the few dead flood dragon men in the future. Yijan waved his hand impatiently. Based on the fact that Ling Xiao could return the clan token to him without any ulterior motives, Yijan didn't believe that he had any evil intentions. The immortal source and clan token were both in his hands. As long as Ling Xiao was patient enough to find the heavenly alligator's ancestral land, he could open it himself. With this token, he could even command the Lost Clan and obtain the 1,000-year heritage of the heavenly alligator clan. Even if he didn't know where the ancestral land was. Wouldn't it be more convenient to join forces with Ziyin? But he still came to the sea area without hesitation. He didn't hesitate to put himself in danger and personally handed the token to him. Everything was for a promise. What else was there to say? Lord Ling Xiao, you are righteous. Of course, even if Yijan had lived for thousands of years, he probably wouldn't know what a treasure-seeking mouse was and what plundering luck was. Only when a frog was boiled in warm water would one be unaware. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first. Young Master Yijan, I wish you the best of luck. Ling Xiao said indifferently and turned to leave. 3, 2, 1, young master, please wait. Yijan was stunned and hurriedly blocked Ling Xiao's way. Yes, the clan token was the key to open the ancestral land. But to open the barrier, the power of the immortal source was needed. Perhaps my father didn't expect that the immortal source in my body had been taken away by that woman, Ziyin. Otherwise, he might not have given his immortal source to Lord Ling Xiao in exchange for his promise. Or perhaps my father's action had a deeper meaning. When he saw Ling Xiao before his death, he didn't fully trust him, but he wanted to give the immortal source to me. So, he used the excuse of repaying with the immortal source and only told me to return the clan token so that both of them would appear at the same time. Is there anything else, young Master Yijan? Ling Xiao's tone was puzzled, but Yijan's face showed a touch of embarrassment. Young Master, to be honest, to open my clan's ancestral land, I still need the immortal source in your hand. Young Master, don't misunderstand. I don't want the immortal source back, but can I ask you to go to the ancestral land with me? Yijan sighed softly. Seeing that Ling Xiao seemed to be hesitating, he hurriedly said, Young Master, don't worry. My clan's ancestral land is an ancient mystic realm. There are many opportunities in it. As long as you agree to go with me, I am willing to give you the inheritance of my heavenly alligator clan. Oh, inheritance? Ling Xiao's eyes narrowed slightly, but in the end, he shook his head. Although the opportunity is good, I don't want to take risks because of it. This sea area is now under the purple emperor's sky. If she knows that I'm traveling with you, hearing this, Yijan swallowed the words on the tip of his tongue. Ling Xiao was right. No matter how good the opportunity was, one must be alive to take it. When he was tricked by Ziyin, he had already told her the location of the heavenly alligator clan's ancestral land. Come to think of it, even if she couldn't get in these years, she must have used some means to seal and suppress it. It would be harder than ascending to heaven to avoid her eyes. I have a plan that may work. Ling Xiao pondered for a moment and suddenly looked at Yijan. But this plan is dangerous. I wonder what is the inheritance treasure that young master mentioned. Since it was a setup, of course, there must be a flaw appropriately. Otherwise, if it was too perfect, it would be suspicious. Young Master Yijan, I have given you the opportunity. It depends on what price you are willing to pay. Actually, I don't know. It's just that my heavenly alligator clan was exterminated because of this item. It is said to be a treasure of the ninth heaven. It was sealed and suppressed by my clan's ancestors. Ijan walked to Ling Xiao mysteriously and transmitted a message with his divine soul. Young master, you may not believe it. My heavenly alligator clan was exterminated by the sky demon's former subordinates. The treasure that my clan is guarding is said to be the sky demon's relic. In order to prevent this treasure from falling into the demon's hands, my father sealed it with the celestial source power. However, young master can rest assured. Now that the nine heaven celestial clan is the master, no one should dare to covet this treasure anymore. Chapter 739. The Sky Demon's Treasure? Is it that exciting? Ling Zhao's eyes trembled slightly, as if he didn't believe it. Young master, the name Sky Demon is not something you can casually say. To be honest, young master, my clan's ancestor was the mount of the ancient god. He was also an existence that commanded the heavens and earth. Although there is no news of him now, when he gave us the treasure, he specifically told us that if one day someone in my clan could refine this treasure, he would be able to step on the top of the world. Ijan's expression was solemn. Now it seemed that if he wanted Ling Xiao to help him open the ancestral land, he had to take out something that was attractive enough. In this way, he would be repaying his kindness, and there would be no flaw in his Dao heart. In order to return the clan token, the Lord Ling Xiao did not hesitate to go deep into the sea and become an enemy of the Ocean Emperor. What was there to be stingy about? What's more, he had seen that holy treasure before. The demonic aura lingering on it was not something that ordinary people could resist. I can give you the good fortune, but you can't blame me for not taking it away, right? So, the Heavenly Alligator Clan was actually destroyed in order to protect this treasure? Ling Xiao suddenly smiled. No wonder and I wanted to put a strand of the celestial source in the ancestral land. It turned out that he had such intentions. Suppressing the demonic treasure? Sure enough, these people from 1,000 years ago could not be trusted. Inexplicably, Ling Xiao suddenly thought of the ancestor of the folies, Yi Luoyan. Speaking of which, Ling Xiao felt more and more that the Lord of the Folies, an ancient powerhouse who had followed the Immortal Clan to conquer the Sky Demon Clan, died too easily. A mere lord of the Heavenly Alligator Clan had the means to survive until now. Ziyin was helpless and could only seal him with an array formation. The ancestor of the Foliaceae had guarded this world for 1,000 years. How could he die so easily in his hands? However, Ling Xiao had seen the power of the ancestral talisman with his own eyes. For a divine soul body, it was a heavenly tribulation. Am I worrying too much? Sigh, I've been a villain for a long time. I always feel that there's a wicked person who wants to harm me. That's right. Even though I don't know exactly what this treasure is, I've once witnessed its might from afar, and a single glance almost caused my mind to collapse. At that time, my cultivation had already stepped into the God Emperor realm. Ijan's eyes were deep, as if he had seen something horrifying. His face turned pale. Beside the two of them, Sun sighed softly in his heart as he watched the two of them huddle together without making a sound. In the end, the young master was still wary of him. All right, since it's a precious treasure, it's worth the risk. Ling Xiao nodded and finally made up his mind. Risk and fortune coexisted. This was the truth of the cultivation world. Similarly, if you want someone to take a risk, is it appropriate if you don't offer some decent temptation? Haha, young master, I wonder what the scheme you were talking about is. How do we avoid the Sea Emperor's eyes? Send someone to take a look first. See what methods your race has outside their ancestral land. If there really are experts guarding it, then we can only send the Flood Dragon humanoid race to attack. If there's no one, then it's even more troublesome. As soon as Ling Zhao's voice fell, Ijan's face turned puzzled. Why is that? Don't tell me you don't know what Ziyin is good at? Arrays? Ijan suddenly understood, and his face immediately turned solemn. Ling Xiao was right. If there were experts guarding outside the ancestral land, as long as Zi Yin wasn't there personally, Ao Sun could basically kill them with his strength. However, if there was no one guarding it, it could only be said that Zi Yin had enough confidence that no one could break through her means. Erase. From the time Yijan spent with her, he knew that what was truly terrifying about this woman was her understanding of a race. However, whether it was Yijan, the flood dragon humanoid race, or even the entire Sea clan, no one was proficient in a race. That's right. I've heard that Zi Huang's cultivation is heaven-defying, but what's truly terrifying is a race. Ling Xiao looked solemn and frowned. Forget it. It's meaningless to think about this now. Let's send someone to investigate first before making a decision. Lord Ling Xiao, keep this clan token for the time being. I have placed a strand of my soul in it. We can contact each other through it. All right, it's safer in my hands. Young Lord Yijan, let's not meet for the time being. We'll contact each other through the clan token. Ling Xiao put away the clan token, took a deep look at Ao Sun, then turned and walked away. Until his figure disappeared, Ao Sun said in a deep voice, Young Lord, those who are not of our race must have different intentions. This person can't be trusted. Old ancestor, you don't have to say much. I have my own plans. However, there's one thing that requires the old ancestor to make a trip personally. Yijan's face was calm, and he no longer showed a trace of impatience. After all, to enter the ancestral land smoothly, he still needed to rely on the flood dragon humanoid race. Young Lord, please speak. Ao Sun's eyes trembled slightly, and he bowed. My clan's ancestral land is at the end of the endless sea. I'll give the old ancestor a location. You can go there and see if there are any Sea Emperor Palace experts guarding there. Yes. On this side, Ling Xiao left the deserted island and stood above the void, holding a talisman in his hand. Send this talisman to the Sea Emperor Palace. Yes, Lord. A black-clothed secret guard turned and left, quickly disappearing at the end of the sea. Rouge, this time, let's see where you can escape to. Ling Xiao smiled playfully, and his figure suddenly disappeared from spot. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. The Sea Emperor Palace was located in the depths of the endless sea. This place was originally a bottomless abyss at the bottom of the sea, revealing demonic intent. Since Zi Yin unified the endless sea, she used this abyss as a barrier to build the Sea Emperor Palace. At this moment, in a golden palace at the top of the abyss, Zi Yin placed one hand behind her back and held a talisman in her other hand. In a few days, the Flood Dragon humanoid race's experts will come out of the Dragon Transformation Sea and surround the Sea Emperor Palace. Zi Huang, you can use this opportunity to set up a trap. When the traders come, you can catch them all in one fell swoop. Consider this a small gift I prepared for Zi Huang. This was Ling Xiao's spiritual sense. However, what puzzled Zi Yin was the Flood Dragon humanoid race had opposed her earlier. Where did they get the courage to surround and attack her Sea Emperor Palace? There was no need to doubt the strength of this race. However, the strongest among them were only 2 rank 8 divine emperors. If she had not been worried about the Flood Dragon humanoid race's ancient formation, she would not have returned in disappointment and killed Yijan directly. They dared to kill her? Zi Yin did not believe it. Furthermore, Yijan had just appeared. The safest way for the Flood Dragon humanoid race was to wait for Yijan to grow and use the Heavenly Alligator race's prestige to recruit vassals. Why would they take such a risk and leave their ancestral land to come to her and die? What is this Ling Xiao planning? Of course, no matter what Ling Xiao was planning, Zi Yin did not really care about it. After all, in her eyes, no matter how scheming an 18 or 19-year-old youth was, what kind of storm could he cause? I'm already unrivaled in the sea domain. No matter how the wind and rain swayed, I would remain unmoved. Heaven and earth, never mind. Young Miss said that I should keep a low profile as a demon. I should make some preparations to prevent Ling Xiao's words from coming true. Flood Dragon humanoid race, if you dare to come, there will be no more flood dragon humanoid race in the sea domain. Chapter 740. Haha, we've finally surrounded the heavenly poison lady after chasing her for so long. Although the terrain of this barren mountain is complicated, the heavenly poison lady won't be able to escape with the 4 great elders of Sky Border City here. It's everyone's responsibility to eliminate the scourge. In the depths of Sky Border Island, this place was a towering ancient mountain with trees and vegetation forming a forest. Clouds and mist were drifting about, giving it a fairy-like atmosphere. However, at this moment, countless figures stood at the foot of the mountain with spiritual light blooming around them. They looked as if they were about to face a great enemy. On the 4 sides of the ancient mountain, there were 4 old men in luxurious clothes standing in the air. Each of them held a golden formation flag in their hands. They connected the flags to form a boundary and evolved the divine power that enveloped the entire mountain. I heard that the heavenly poison lady is immortal. She must be burned with raging flames for 49 days before she can be truly killed. That's right. Ordinary flames won't do. It's said that the heaven and earth spirit fire is the best. We also need some earth fire demonic flames. Isn't this just a coincidence? The treasure of Sky Border Island is a heavenly flame divine cauldron. It's said that it contains a heavenly flame that descended from the 9 heavens. It's called the heavenly meteor flame and contains the destructive power of stars. Heavenly meteor flame? Brother, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. It's said that the heavenly flame can even burn stars into nothingness. If you use it to burn a person, hiss. What do you know? This is a forbidden poison body. Once it matures, it can poison and kill all living beings in a region. You have to eliminate the root of the problem. At the foot of the mountain, everyone was discussing animatedly. Among them, there were a few disciples who seemed to be particularly emotional. From time to time, they would persuade others not to lower their guard and to use the cruelest and most ruthless method to kill the heavenly poison lady. Everyone, now that the heavenly poison lady has appeared in Sky Border Island, I, the Sky Border City Lord, have already sworn that I will kill this evil for the world. Now, this lady is in the mountain. Everyone, please wait for a moment. The Sky Border City's great elder has returned to the city to get the fire and will be here soon. Above the void, the 4 old men in luxurious clothes laughed loudly. The Sky Border City Lord is really the benchmark of our cultivation world. That's right. In the future, if anyone says that Sky Border City is cruel, I will be the first to slap his mouth. This is the brave city Lord. Hearing this, everyone immediately cried out loudly. Clearly, they were extremely excited to be able to personally witness the death of the Sky Poison Girl. It seemed like he would be recorded in history if he wasn't careful. Looking at the excited crowd, the eyes of the 4 Sky Border City elders also flickered with delight. Kenya Ancient City was originally created by a group of evil demons. Their actions were cruel and tyrannical. However, even the 4 of them didn't expect that after being a demon for his entire life, he would become the little demon slayer hero in the eyes of the world. Buzz! Suddenly, a blue-robed old man appeared out of thin air and stood at the peak of the mountain. At this moment, although there wasn't much spiritual might emitted from his body, it instinctively caused people to feel fear from the bottom of their hearts. An ancient bronze cauldron emanated dazzling divine radiance in his hand, and a strand of horrifying and scorching fluctuation silently rippled out and practically enveloped the entire heavens and the earth. It's Sky Border City's great elder, Mo Wu Dao. Grand Elder is here. That poison woman is dead for sure. Cheers erupted from the crowd. Mo Wu Dao only glanced coldly at the 4 elders of Sky Edge City. The 4 of them instantly understood and opened up a corner of the formation with a flash of light in their hands. Then, under everyone's dumbfounded gaze, Mo Wu Dao flipped his palm and turned the cauldron upside down. A dazzling blue flame slowly flowed out of the cauldron like a river of stars. It contained the power to incinerate the heavens and the earth as it poured down towards the barren mountain. At first, it was just a strand of starry flame, but after that, it surged like an ocean, almost covering the entire sky. Seal the mountain for 7 days. This mountain should be incinerated into nothingness. Mo Wu Dao lowered his head and looked at the heavenly flame flowing between the mountains. Although these flames were formed from the might of the heavenly meteor flame and were not the main body, they were extremely ferocious. Even if they were god emperors, they would definitely die if they touched the flames. It was said that the heavenly poison woman's cultivation was only at the deity overlord level. Sealing the mountain for 7 days was already Mo Wu Dao overestimating her. Yes, Grand Elder. The 4 elders of Sky Border City bowed. Even though they were all third-stage god emperors, their eyes were filled with shock and fear when they felt the fluctuation of the flames in the formation. Burning the mountain for 7 days. Nothing would be left of the heavenly poison woman. At the same time, in the barren mountain, Phoenix Rouge's face was pale as she looked at the starry flame above her head. Her beautiful eyes were filled with bitterness. Originally, she thought that as long as she hid in the depths of the sea, no one would know about her heavenly poison body. But who would have thought that in this sky-border ancient island, which was thousands of miles away from the human territory, there would actually be a group of people using her portrait to spread the dangers of the heavenly poison body. F***CK. She had already heard about the annihilation of the immortal mystic sect from others. It was said that the sea race had joined forces with the demon sect and attacked the immortal mystic sect once again. It was said that on that day, not a single one of the 800 disciples of the immortal mystic sect survived. From the sect master to the sect master's dog, all of them were killed. Although Phoenix Rouge did not hear any news of Ling Zhao's death, but how could the eggs remain intact when a nest is destroyed? Therefore, that holy son who hated the demon sect to the core was probably also dead. Logically speaking, Phoenix Rouge should be happy about Ling Zhao's death. But when she thought of the white-robed figure who descended from the sky and stood in front of her to stop the 5 emperors of the immortal mystic sect, Phoenix Rouge felt an inexplicable pressure in her heart. Especially at this moment, when the surrounding forest and ancient trees were burning and the thick smoke from the formation above her head, all of these made Phoenix Rouge feel despair. What was the difference between dying early and dying late? Rather than dying in the hands of others, she would rather die in the hands of Ling Zhao. At the very least, she might be able to have a taste of this young man before she died. Cultivating and tempering the body all day long, and working in the heavens and hammering the earth. Her stamina should be very good, right? But it was still wishful thinking. Today, no one would stand in front of her to stop all the evil in this world. 20 years. This time, I have worn it for nothing. Phoenix Rouge sighed softly. Suddenly, she took out a black robe and 2 white stockings from her chinkoan bag. Even if I die, I want to die a beautiful death. After saying that, she took off her black cloak and changed into the clothes in her hands. It was a slim-fitting cheongsam. Her curvaceous figure appeared even more charming under the contrast of the cheongsam. The high neckline made her jade-like neck look slender and slender. At the bottom of the cheongsam, half of her snow-white legs could be vaguely seen, as well as the white strands that reach her feet. She was charming and elegant, but somehow there was a hint of desolation. Monstrous flames rolled down from the top of the mountain. Like a flood, they wanted to burn all living things in the world. The terrifying power contained in the flames had already made Phoenix Rouge give up the idea of struggling. Heaven and earth spirit flames were difficult for god emperors to resist. Moreover, with the 4 god emperors sealing the mountain, she had no chance of escaping. She was tired and didn't want to escape anymore. But she felt a little regretful. If I could restart my life, I would want to die in his crotch. No, in his arms. Ling Zhao, farewell. Chapter 741. Starfire fell, burning the mountain range and the ancient forest into nothingness. Billowing black smoke lingered in the sky, blocking everyone's sight. In the forest, Feng Rouge hid behind a giant vine. Looking at the sea of spiritual flames sweeping towards her, the corners of her mouth gradually curled up into a smile. Then, she opened her arms and closed her eyes, as if she was going to embrace death. As expected, villains don't have good endings. Forget it. Maybe I can go back in time after I die. This damn heavenly poison sacred body. It forced me into abstinence. But just as Phoenix Rouge felt the waves of flames sweeping in front of her and about to devour her, the sound of rushing wind suddenly came from the sky. Then, everyone seemed to see a stream of light sweeping across the sky, piercing through the clouds and the ancient array, and falling into the sea of flames. Boom! Starfire swept across, almost enveloping the entire barren mountain. At this moment, the four elders in the sky all had a look of confusion in their eyes. Did you see it? I think I saw it. Someone fell down. I don't think he fell down. He broke through our array. This heavenly poison lady has an accomplice. Suddenly, there was an uproar between heaven and earth. However, no matter who broke the array and what cultivation level the person was at, falling into the sea of flames at this moment, there was no chance of survival. After all, no one in the Shenzhou continent had heard of anyone who could escape from the power of spiritual fire. But it was very inexplicable. The excitement and pride on many people's faces suddenly froze. The heavenly poison evil body was not tolerated in the world. In fact, the fact that they were able to kill him today was something worth celebrating for the crowd. But even with such a forbidden body, there was still someone who was willing to die with her. Was it love or family? That moth flying into the flame. How tragic and resolute must it be? At the foot of the barren mountain, the atmosphere gradually became oppressive. Gradually, someone began to cry. Especially at the mountainside, the ancient forest seemed to have burned down, revealing two figures who were tightly hugging each other. In the end, they were swallowed by the sea of flames and disappeared without a trace. The heavens and the earth were silent, and only the sound of surging waves of fire resounded in their ears. At this moment, a wisp of dark demonic fire enveloped by the star flame turned into a barrier that completely enveloped Phoenix Rouge's figure. From the outside, the colors of the two flames were similar, and there was no difference between them. However, the resolute expression on Phoenix Rouge's face had completely frozen. The intense pain and heat that he had imagined did not come. On the contrary, the burnt smell that filled the air had completely dissipated at this moment. Phoenix Rouge opened her eyes in a daze. In the next moment, her beautiful eyes hardened. She saw a white-clothed figure standing with his hands behind his back at the place where the starfire was surging. Young Master Ling Xiao. Phoenix Rouge covered her red lips with her lily-white hand. Then, under Ling Xiao's playful gaze, she slapped herself hard. Pa! A bright red palm print instantly appeared on her beautiful face. Clearly, she had used all her strength in that slap. Gulp! In an instant, tears welled up in Phoenix Rouge's eyes. In particular, the gentle smile on Ling Xiao's face made all the worries in her heart disappear instantly. After transmigrating for 20 years, she had never trusted anyone. Even her master and junior brother were just chess pieces that could be discarded at any time in Phoenix Rouge's eyes. However, ever since she met Ling Xiao, her heart had gradually become turbulent. Originally, in Phoenix Rouge's eyes, Ling Xiao's heavenly mandate body, which just so happened to be able to restrain the sky poison, should have been her calamity. But he had once again given her hope from the depths of despair. Furthermore, without Ling Xiao, Phoenix Rouge might have already died in the immortal mystic sect. Oh no, it was definitely. This was the second time. She originally thought that she would officially bid farewell to this dangerous world. However, he descended from the sky and blocked in front of her without any reason. Beep. The Lady of Destiny has completely fallen in love with the great villain Demon King. She has recognized the host as her man of destiny. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1,000 luck points and 10,000 villain points. Beep. The Lady of Destiny has submitted. Congratulations to the host for obtaining an additional reward. Destiny Forging points 2%. Congratulations to the host for obtaining an additional reward. One chance to perfect the Tao Law. Congratulations to the host for obtaining an additional reward. Due to the special identity of this Lady of Destiny, the system has specially selected a 9 Heavens Divine Technique for the host. Mystic Yin-Yang Divine Technique. Oh, Ling Xiao raised his eyebrows slightly. The corner of his mouth curled up into an inexplicable, playful smile. It wasn't easy. In order to make this Lady of Destiny completely submit to him, he did not hesitate to spend a lot of time and energy and specially set up 2 traps for her. In the end, he managed to make this Godeoliu's transmigrator truly fall in love with him. However, the Mystic Yin-Yang Divine Technique? And this technique sounds very awesome. It suits me very well. Didn't you say that you would have nothing to do with me in the future? Then what are you doing here? Phoenix Rouge snorted coldly, trying to suppress the emotions in her heart. But when this scene fell into Ling Xiao's eyes, the playful smile on the corner of his mouth became even more intense. Why is she acting so arrogant now? The reason why Ling Xiao spent so much effort to subdue this Lady of Destiny, who had transmigrated, was because the 2 of them came from the same place. Their personalities and thoughts were similar. Although Ling Xiao had never revealed his identity as a transmigrator, it was undeniable that Phoenix Rouge's existence had more or less reduced the loneliness in his heart. What's more, this Lady of Destiny seemed to be a very capable person with a single glance. Ling Xiao's realm needed someone to take care of it. No one was suitable for this matter. Only Phoenix Rouge, who had the heavenly poison body, was the most intimidating person. Thinking about it, with the help of this fellow transmigrator, Ling Xiao's life would definitely become more exciting and interesting in the future. For example, changing Han Qingxiu and the others into the Bali clan? I was passing by and couldn't bear to see you. Ling Xiao's expression was cold. Even his tone was extremely indifferent. In terms of acting cool, I'm not targeting the Lady of Destiny. You all are slightly deliberate. It's just that, when these words fell into Phoenix Rouge's ears, the arrogance on her face instantly turned into a bright smile. You are the saint of the saint. Aren't you afraid of being cursed by the world for repeatedly protecting me, the heavenly poison evil woman? Since the day I found out about your identity, there has been no saint of the saint in this world. Ling Xiao looked up at the curtain of fire above his head and the heavenly meteorite flame that covered the sky. He sneered in his heart. What an unexpected surprise. The heaven and earth spirit fire was rare in the world. He didn't expect to encounter one in the depths of the sea. Of course, with Ling Xiao's current strength, he would never practice the burning scripture again. But little cutie Lin Meng needed it. Ling Xiao, I've decided. From today onwards, I will be your woman. I won't leave you even for a single step. Just as Ling Xiao was thinking to himself, he suddenly saw a figure in front of him. That black Chong Sam had been torn apart from the middle. Rouge, white silk, just wear it, that you're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.